explain why, because it doesn't make sense. No, it's about America. It's about America first. We have to take care of our own country. And we can help others, but we have to take care of our own country. There's nothing you can do to change these people. They'll betray you just like they betrayed me. I mean, I told you the DeSanctimonious, I got him elected. He went up like a rocket ship as soon as I pressed that little button. Now it's truth. Truth is the best, right? But is everybody on truth, I hope? Truth is the one. That's the one. But at that time, there was no truth. It was before, and I tweeted a little statement, and he went up like a rocket ship. He went from getting killed, he was dead, he was going to leave the race, to winning the race just with one little press of a button. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? But there's never been anything like it from, you know, the standpoint of an endorsement, so he won. But Nikki said she would have news conference. This is a great president. I will never run against him, right? You've seen that. Have you seen her clips? We have about 9 of them. There are a lot more than that, but we don't want to bore you. But no, I will never, ever even consider running against the president. He was a great president. Then a year and a half later, I've decided to run for the presidency. Oh, great. I don't know. There's something about a lot of these, because I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself like you. We're workers. We know how to do things, make money. But, you know, and if she said she wanted to run, let her say it up front. Don't let her just play you around like that for years. And, you know, I would never run against the president. He's so good. She actually said I was a great president, and I was a great president. Look at all the things we did against. I love what they say. A lot of people say, you are. That's sort of cute. And a lot of people don't understand what they mean by that. But Iowa does not want politicians like Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, who both support a 23% national sales tax, which is a disaster. You don't want politicians like Ron and Nikki, who both want to gut Social Security and Medicare and hurt our seniors. And, you know, if you look at it, Ron voted 3 times to raise the retirement age on Social Security to over 70, and Nikki would take the retirement age to way, way higher than even the number that Ron is talking about. I don't know why they want to do that. You know, we have so much wealth underground. We have so much liquid gold, I call it, underground. You don't need to do this. You don't have to destroy our senior citizens. When we drill, baby, drill, we're gonna make so much money. We'll be supplying the world. Unlike DeSantis and Nikki Haley, we'll always protect Social Security and Medicare for our seniors. Just remember that when you have to vote. Although I think, is there anybody in this room that's not going to vote for Trump? Just out of, no, don't raise your hand. It could be dangerous stuff. They're going to say he incited an insurrection, these stupid bastards. He incited an insurrection. No, but is there, quietly raise your hand. Is there anybody here that's not going to vote for Trump? That's very nice. They're upset by even the question. They're upset. They don't even like that question. Well, I appreciate it, but I'm going to caucus. We're going to be in Iowa. We're not taking any chances, right? You know, they're spending a lot of money. The globalists have given her money. And you know, I know very well she ain't going to do it. I can tell you she's not going to do it. And I know him very well. Both disloyal, both extremely disloyal. Him, I got elected. He was down at like nothing. Came over, begged me for an endorsement. You know that better than anybody, right? Begged me for an endorsement. And he helped me a little bit with the impeachment hoax, number 1, impeachment hoax, number 2, 2 hoaxes. We had about 15 hoaxes. We have currently a lot of hoaxes going on, too. They never stop. And you think they won't do it to them? They would do it to them, too, but they would wilt. They would wilt. But he came over, tears in his eyes. I need your endorsement. And he was losing by like 35 points. It was over. And then, for whatever reason, stupidly, I gave him my endorsement. And he went up like a rocket ship. And that was his only claim to fame. And he ended up getting it. And then I got him past the general election. We did 2 or 3 rallies. They were big, beautiful rallies. And I said, you're going to win. He said, I don't think so. Because the man he was running against was the hottest politician in the country. I said, you're going to win. I'm telling you. I could tell by the rallies. The rallies were incredible. And he won. And then 4 years later, they said, will you run against the president? And he said, I have no comment. I said, that means this guy's running. And that was the end of him, right? So now in Florida, a poll came out today. I'm at 89 and he's at 9. And now I guess he's fighting for second place, isn't he? They're both fighting for second place. You can have either one of them, globalists. But we're thrilled to be joined today by some incredible people. State Senator Brad Zahn. Now, Brad was the first, for instance, Nikki Haley. Give me a break. I know her well. I will never run against our president, she said. I will never, ever. He is a great president. I will not run. This went on for like 2 years. Then one day she's making a speech. I said, oh, that's nice. Ladies and gentlemen, I've decided to run. What's going on? What's wrong? And DeSantis was worse because he was dead until I endorsed him. And then he went up like a rocket ship and he won. And then I helped him get through the general election. And, you know, he was so far down in the primary that it was the other guy was measuring carpets in the State House. He actually sent people, please measure my bedroom. I want to put a brand new carpet there. And then I endorse this guy, and, you know, to me it's a bad seed. When something like that happens, it's a bad seed. So I got him in, and he went up like a rocket ship. One press of a little button, you know, with the button. Now, truth is much better. We all know that. But there was no truth then. Right now, we have truth, which is the best, right? But one press of a button, and all of a sudden, that election was over. He got the nomination. Then we got him past a very tough guy. They said he was going to be president someday. It turned out to be a crackhead, but these are minor details. But we got him past that guy, him and Stacey Abrams. They were the two hottest male and female politicians in the country. And in his case, he lost. I mean, and Ron didn't think he could beat him. And nobody did except me. I did 3 rallies for Ron. We had thousands and thousands. These are massive rallies. Thousands and thousands of people. And I said, you're going to win. Oh, I don't know. And he won. Then 4 years later, they say, will you run against the president? He says, I have no comment. I said, no comment? You know what no comment? See those beautiful little children? They know what it means. That means he's going to run, right? Yep. She's like 4 years old. She's saying, yeah, that's right. And my people say, sir, don't attack him so violently. He's a Republican. I said, I don't care if he's a Republican or not. And he's taken a big fall, that guy. He's not going to do too well. And she's not going to do well either. But we have tremendous numbers. And I think if everybody goes, and it's really a sad thing. I will tell you, it's really a sad thing. We had the greatest border. We had the greatest border in history, and now we have the worst border in the history of the world. No place in the world. But Ron DeSanctimonious, Nikki Haley, and the rest have never will. They're never going to be into securing the border because they're globalists. They want the globe. They like the globe, and they believe it. Maybe they're right. I don't think they're right. I think I've proven they're not right. And we want to protect America, and we'll help people, but we want to protect America. We've got $35 trillion in debt. You know that debt. We were going to be drilling like crazy, and we were already became number one. We went from number 4 to number 1 in a period of short period of time. We were so drill, baby, drill. You're right about that. But we were doing so well. It was Saudi Arabia and then Russia, and we were down here. And you have to see the chart. I got to get the chart for the people at some point. It goes like we're down here, then all of a sudden we go, Trump gets in, he goes, shh, and we passed Russia, we passed Saudi Arabia, we were doing more, and soon we were going to be energy dominant. We were energy independent, but we were going to be selling to Europe, to Asia, all over the world we were going to be selling. We would have been paying off our debt. It was unbelievable. Then this guy comes in and stopped everything. He gave up Anwar in Alaska. I got Anwar, so proud of it. I got Anwar. Nobody could do it. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. He tried so hard he couldn't get it approved. And that was a lot easier environmentally, a lot easier in those days. But I got it approved. We were going to start drilling in Anwar very shortly. Great for Alaska, but great for the country, for the world. The largest site, probably bigger than Saudi Arabia. Think of that. And he ended it in his first week. He terminated everything I did. We worked our asses off to get that. He terminated everything that I did on Anwar. That would have made so much money for this country, but we're going to pay off debt. We had a machine going, and then we had a rigged election, and all of that ended. Then we had inflation, which was caused, by the way, by energy. You know, when your gasoline triples and quadruples, and your heating and your house goes up, everything else is going to go up too. The bakery is going to go up. They deliver their donuts and they use their fuel to cook the whatever it is. Everything goes up. Energy is so big, and we had it at a level that nobody... We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had the greatest economy, and they blew it. And we had no inflation. One of the biggest donors to Nikki Haley's campaign is this slob known as Reid Hoffman, the big slob. I can't use the word fat, so I won't. They'll criticize me. If I say fat, you're not allowed to use fat, so I will not call him a fat slob. I'll just call him a slob. You're allowed to. But a real slob, you got to look at a picture of this guy. But he's a rich guy. He supports crooked. Think of it. He supports all of these crooked people, but he also supports Haley. Can you believe it? You know why? Because they don't want to run against Trump. But they're great on misinformation, disinformation. It's almost the same, but it's actually not. But we won't go into definitions. They are great on misinformation, disinformation. We want to run against Trump. That's what Hillary said, too. Let's run against Trump. That'll be wonderful. But we want to run against Trump. We beat him the first time. We beat him this. They don't want to run against me. But they say that because that's sort of demeaning. Every poll has us beating Biden. They're losing to Biden. They all say, oh, well, we're going to win. They're not going to win. First of all, they can't beat me. They're 50, 60 points down. They're not going to win. And they're going to get hit harder than me. So with me, they hit me. And they won't take it like I take it, because I take it. People do say, they say, two questions they have for me. One is, sir, how do you do it? How do you take it? And the other one is, will they do it again? They better not do it again. We have a lot of good people, and we're fighting like hell. I actually say, don't worry about the vote. We're going to get plenty of votes. Just worry about securing the vote. And we used to say election day, right? But today you have election period. You have some of these things that go on for 55 days. We want one-day voting. We want paper ballots, and we want voter ID. And Republican governors should do it right now. There's no reason for them to wait. But much like with Ron DeSanctimonious, the people who fund Nikki Haley aren't working for your interest. They're working for their interest. They really are. And look, I know them both very well. I mean, they're very disloyal. Nikki would say, I will never run against the president. He did this for years. I will never run against the president. He was a great president. I will never run. I always used to say, that's nice. But I knew her. So I figured, when's it going to come? Because she can't help herself. I knew it. And then one day she called it, and that's, I've decided to run for president. Not going to do the job for you. She's not going to do the job. So you have that, and you have Biden, and all they're going to do is grant amnesty to Biden's illegal aliens, and they'll do it very early because they believed in that. And they also believed in hurting your Social Security. They believed in hurting your Medicare. And I didn't. Ron DeSanctimonious wanted to lift the age from a much different number, much different, up to above 70, and he voted on it 3 times. You don't want that. We have so much wealth under our feet in the liquid gold. We don't need to hurt people with Social Security, senior citizens, and they'll go back. When Ron, and the same thing with Nikki, both of them, I wouldn't tell you who to vote for. I tell you, I wouldn't know. They're both not good. They're both, there's a rumor that Ron's going to leave the race right after this. I read it. No, he's going to endorse me. I don't know if that's true or not. I make it much harder for him to, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. But the rumors, a big story just came out. Did anybody see it? That Ron's going to leave. So you're really into politics, and going to leave the race. He's going to endorse me, and that's going to be it. Well, that'd be nice. But you know what? It's important. We got to get the biggest vote, because I'm thinking more about November. We have to send a signal to these crooked people out there, to a corrupt Washington.
Yeah. Well, and President Trump, as a follow-up, you've also been critical of Nikki Haley's record of opposing the border wall and also criticizing the travel ban. Given the thousands of unvetted illegals that are coming across our southern border every day, why are Nikki Haley's comments dangerous and naive?
Well, she's a globalist, and she works with Koch. Used to be Koch brothers. David Koch I knew very well. He was a nice guy, a member of my clubs and everything else. He was a big supporter in that way. But they're globalists. I'm not. I'm a Make America Great Again. I'm a America First people. It's just America First. It's so simple. I put America first. I always did, and I always will. And frankly, we spend trillions of dollars to other countries. Many of these countries don't respect us. They don't like us. They don't do what we tell them to do. And I stopped that whole process. But Nikki is a person that's getting a lot of her money from globalists, and globalists are not good for our country. They're not good for us. I know Nikki very well. She was my ambassador to the United Nations, and she had a lot of weakness, to be honest. She had a lot of weakness. In fact, I'm not a fan of Chris Christie. I thought he was, third rate. He left with a 9% approval rating. New Jersey, a great state, which I hope to win. I hope we're going to win it. But he made some statements that she's not going to make it. The so-called hot mic. And I don't know if that was a hot mic on purpose or not. I doubt it. I doubt it. But it was certainly a hot mic. I don't think Nikki's strong enough to be president. I know her very well. I know her better than anybody. I moved her there from the governor of South Carolina, and I moved Henry McMaster in. And one of the reasons I gave her that job is I wanted Henry McMaster to be governor. He was lieutenant governor. He's fantastic. You know him. And he's done a great job, but that was one of the reasons I moved her. And she did okay. She was okay, but she's not strong enough to be president. I know her very well. And I say that every speech, you don't sit home. Even if you think we're winning by a lot, it doesn't matter. You have to get out and vote. And we're really setting the table for November by doing that because, we're in very good shape. I hear we're in very good shape in New Hampshire. But they're trying to sign every Democrat available. That's a different kind of a thing. Every place you go, it's a little bit different. But over there, you're allowed to have independents, and you're allowed to have Democrats vote, and they have these sleaze bags from Coke Industries, and they're globalists. That's all you can say. They're globalists, and we got to do something about globalists because they're selling our country down the tubes, and they're spending all that money on Nikki Haley, and they're going out trying to get independents and Democrats to vote for her in New Hampshire.
Who? Haley, who's she?
Oh.
Birdbrain.
Birdbrain.
I said, was that too severe?
No.
I know her well, and she's not suited for the job. I know her very well. She's not suited. Some people are suited. I tell you who's suited. They say he's very honest. I am very honest. If you ask me, I'll tell you who is. And if I don't want to say something good about something, then I won't say it. But we will say that in her case, she's absolutely not suited. But she's back with this Coke money. It's called Americans for Chinese Prosperity. Did you ever hear of Americans for Prosperity?
Terrible.
Yeah, we call it Americans for Chinese Prosperity. It's a bad group. They're bad people, and we got to win. So they're doing that. And they're fighting over here too, but it looks like they've been very ineffective. But in New Hampshire, they are actually signing people to vote, and I think that's disgraceful. I don't even know if they're allowed to do it. So we're going to have a lot of fun this next 2 days, and I think we're going to be rewarded with a tremendous win, and we're all going to be together, I hope, for that win.
Yes.
So Say it again.
You've added a couple more events in New Hampshire next week. Was that a response to Nikki Haley's rise in the polls there?
Who's rising the polls?
Nikki Haley's.
She hasn't risen to me. See, this is a typical CNN question. They had it the other day where Nikki went up a little bit beyond. She went up 2, and she was at 11, but she beat DeSantis. I was at 69, and I went up 7, and they said, Haley surges. She was at 11, but she beat it. So the headline was Haley surges. Because that's why it's fake news, CNN. That's why nobody watches it. No, not for any reason. I have time here. I like the people here. They're great people.
We love you.
And we do want to send a signal to November. And it's really November. We're not even talking about anything else. We're not worried about New Hampshire. In South Carolina, we're beating Nikki by 40 or 50 points, and then she was governor there, so explain that one. Plus, we have almost every major government official in South Carolina is endorsing us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been amazing. And in Nevada, which you're forgetting about, but Nevada's actually third, comes before South Carolina. And in Nevada, we're at like 90% or something. So we're doing
Mr. President,
You said
there's no election issues.
Thank you, President. Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you, press. Let's go this way. Thank you, press.
I don't know what that's all about, but the only people getting rich right now are Joe Biden's donors and Nikki Haley's donors. She happens to be a globalist, by the way. I know her very well. Remember, I will never run against our president. Never. Never. He's a great president. He's the greatest president in my lifetime. That's not that good. She's, what, 54? 58, 63, what is she? I have no idea. But I will never run against him, ever. She said this for years. Then she calls a news conference. Ladies and gentlemen, I've decided to run for president. I said, that's not so surprising because I understand Nikki. She can't help herself. I understand her very well, better than anybody. By the way, she's not up to the job, okay? I can tell you that. I don't want to be mean. If I said that about a man, everyone would say, what a great statement. But I'll tell you, from Ron's standpoint, he's definitely not up to the job. I know him very well. I got him elected. He forgot about that. He forgot that he was at 3. He was dead, gone. He forgot that he came to me, tears in his eyes, begging for an endorsement, and I endorsed him because he fought the Russia impeachment hoax #1 and #2. 2 hoaxes. They were both hoaxes. But he did, along with 200 other people in Congress. This man was the best of all. Jim Jordan was the best fighter of all. I'd say he was about 7% of what Jim was, but Jim never asked me for anything. You know, he doesn't need anything. I give him automatic endorsements, but he's leading in his district by like 97%. Nobody even runs. He's one of the few people, he never even has somebody running against him. But so I gave it to Ron. Ron was down by, impossible odds. The election was taking place very soon, I think 3 or 4 days. The nominating process was just about finished. A man named Adam Putnam, he was the Secretary of Agriculture, running for governor for 8 years. He was 8 years as the secretary. He raised $41 million. So he was at 42, and I think Ron was around 3. He was like a 30 or 40 point difference. And he came to me, and I didn't know Adam Putnam. And Adam Putnam never called me, so I wish he did, actually, because I probably would have endorsed him. He was fine, but he never called me. But Ron did, and Ron came over to see me, and he begged me for the endorsement. I gave it to him, and it was like a weapon went off. I hate to use the term nuclear weapon, so I won't use that, okay? Because we're getting too close to that stuff. We don't want to bring up the term, but it's brought up all the time. But it was like a weapon went off, a rocket ship went up. And he ended up winning 3 or 4 days later in a landslide. It was a landslide. Adam Putnam is still saying, what happened? What happened? Because he was already measuring for carpets in the State House. He was getting ready to move in. Then we had to get Ron through, a very highly credible candidate at the time. He turned out to be a crackhead, unfortunately. As you remember, the Democrat, right? He was going to be within the next 15 years, he was going to be a president of the United States. And Ron said, I don't think we can beat him. It was him and Stacey Abrams. They were the 2 hottest politicians in the Democrat Party. And Gillum, remember Gillum? And good-looking guy, everything was perfect. And I did 3 rallies. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank you. That's all right. Go home to mommy. Your mommy's waiting. Go home to mommy. Thank you very much. So young. So young. You know? It's amazing, because that used to happen all of the time. And I don't think it's happened in 2.5 or 3 years. That's the first. And she's so young. So young. So anyway, so young and immature. Thank you very much. Thank you. It always adds excitement, I will say that. Thank you. That's all right. That's why we have America. That's okay. But they'll figure it out. You know, they're fighting oil. They're fighting oil. They're basically saying, let's close up our country because if you notice, China's right now China is building actually every week a coal-fired plant. And these people are fighting, and you're going to end up with a country that won't be able to compete if you listen to them. But they'll grow up. Thank you. They'll go up, they'll get older, and they'll understand that it's very important what we're doing. We speak from common sense. You know, we're really the party of common sense. People say, are you conservative? Yes, I'm conservative. We did a lot of conservative things, but we're really not liberal, conservative. We're the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have elections. We want to have low taxes, a strong military. But anyway, so Ron, just to finish the story real quickly, but Ron, I endorsed him, and he went like a rocket ship. And then I did rallies for him, a couple of rallies, 2 or 3. We had tremendous rallies, and incredible, in Florida. And he still felt he wasn't going to win. I said, I'm telling you, you're going to win. And he ended up winning by 2 points, very little. And the other guy turned out to be a disaster. Thank goodness he wasn't put in, but Ron won. And 4 years later, they said to him, will you run against the president? And he said, I have no comment. He said, I have no comment. I got him in. I got him elected totally. He was down by like 40 points for the nomination, and he was going to definitely lose to their new star, who turned out not to be a star. And when I did that, I don't know, there's something about the lack of loyalty in politics. Now, Nikki also, but to a much lesser extent. I mean, she has at least a right. She got there. I gave her the position, but I gave it to her much more so because I wanted Henry McMaster, who was a lieutenant governor, to be the governor of South Carolina. And he's been a great governor, right, Billy? Great governor. And Henry's done a great job. And Nikki did a good job. She was okay, but she's not right to be president. I know it very well. The wrong thought process, the wrong policy. And honestly, she's not tough enough. She's not tough enough. These are tough people. We're dealing with the toughest people in the world. We're dealing with people that are on their game at a level that you've never seen. President Xi of China, Putin. Putin would have never gone into Ukraine if I were president. If that election wasn't rigged, he would have never, ever, not even a chance. And it was the apple of his eye. And you could take a look at North Korea. Kim Jong-un, very smart, very tough, but he liked me, and I got along really well with him, and we were safe. We were going to have a war with them, and they have a massive nuclear stockpile, possibly as big as anybody. And so we did a great job, but we were disappointed with Ron. It showed tremendous disloyalty. I said, listen, let's hit him. And then I wanted to think of a name for him, and I just sort of said, he's a sanctimonious guy. He's sanctimonious. And I said, Ron DeSanctimonious, and it sort of worked. A lot of people didn't like it at the beginning. Now they love it. You know, they grow on you. Sometimes they grow on you positively or negatively. But he said, and then people would say, sir, you're hitting him very hard. I don't think you should. Why? He's a Republican. I said, I don't care if he's a Republican. They're saying he's a Republican. What the hell difference does it make? The guy says to me, he says that he has no comment. When they say they have no comment, you know what that means, L? That means they're going to run. So we hit him very hard, and by the time he announced, he was over. I think he was over by the time he announced. He said, sir, it's too early. I said, it's never too early. Anyway, so he's not doing well. It looks like he's in 5th or 6th place in New Hampshire. We're doing really well in New Hampshire, by the way. Really well. We're really doing well everywhere. And then people don't know, we go to Nevada. We just had a poll out. We're at 89%, Madam Attorney, 89% in Nevada. Then we go to Nikki Haley's state, South Carolina, where the governor endorsed me, where Lindsay and everybody, I mean, we're just about, everybody's endorsed me almost. And we're leading her by 40 points or 50 points, which is pretty tough to do. And then we come down and we eventually get to Florida. We love Florida. We're leading one-on-one with Ron. I'm at 89 and he's at 11. That's a big difference. And we started, I was slightly ahead in all fairness. You know, people don't know, in Florida, I got more votes by 1.5 million than he did. They talk about his great victory. But he only had that victory because of me. But I got 1.5 million more votes than him in Florida. But they did a poll, and he's not even a factor. So he's really hurt himself, because I think he would have, if he were a loyal person, if he would have waited 4 years, he's young, he's a young guy, he would have I don't say anybody walks in, because you still have to show some semblance of personality. You have to do some things right. And so it's never a walk-in, but let's assume he would have gotten my endorsement and he would have been loyal and everything else. But I think the lack of loyalty, a lot of people said when I went after these two people and a couple of others, sir, very, highly paid professionals in the back, they said, sir, people don't care about loyalty in politics. I said, I think they do. And when I explained, about loyalty, like as an example, excuse me, with your governor, I gave her, think of it, first in the nation, I gave her ethanol, I gave her everything. But she was lieutenant governor, just like Henry McMaster. And I took Terry Branstad out, and I made him ambassador to China. And she became, because of me, she became governor. Typically, when that happens, when you're appointed governor or senator, you don't do well in the next election. Very rarely do you win. I don't know if you ever, when you get appointed, you very rarely win. She was losing by 10 points, and she called me, would I do a rally for her? I ended up doing 2 rallies and giving her a very big endorsement, and she ended up beating a very rich, I don't know who this guy is. All they said is he's a rich, very good-looking farmer. Well, those are good credentials for Iowa, right? Rich, good-looking farmer. And he was going to win. And I came in and I saved her. But then I gave her, first in the nation, gave her everything. Really good. And I figured, again, I don't do quid pro quo. But when I came in and I announced, I said, by the way, are you going to be endorsing me? Sure, I'd rather remain neutral. I said, wow, you're going to remain neutral? Wait a minute, I gave you the position. Not that one thing has to do with the other, but I gave you that position. Yes, sir, I'd rather remain neutral because I have to protect first in the nation. But I gave you first in the nation. Then she said, well, you have to understand, I'm the governor, and I want to be able to travel with each and every candidate that's running against you, and you too, sir, and I want to campaign with you. I said, you mean you'd campaign with other candidates? Yes, sir. I said, I don't want to ever see you on my campaign again. And that was it. And that was so I don't blame her for then picking somebody, because we wouldn't let her go to any rallies or anything. But here's the thing I'm most proud of. She went from the most popular governor in the United States in 2 weeks to the least popular governor. She's the least popular governor in the United States. But I just thought it was very disloyal. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. And that happens in politics. What? What is? Oh, thank you very much. That's so cute. Nikki and Crooked Joe are both backed by warmongers and left-wing globalists, Wall Street, millionaires and billionaires who crave to destroy the MAGA movement. People are not happy with MAGA because MAGA's taking over. MAGA's, when you hear the fake news when they say, well, MAGA represents 44% of the Republican. No, MAGA represents 95% of the Republican Party. Whenever you hear this stuff, and it's an amazing thing. When Joe Biden gets up and he's so angry, we're going to fight MAGA. And I say, what does MAGA mean? He has no idea. You know what it means, Joe? It means make America great again, right? It's a simple thing. No harm intended. Probably the greatest phrase in the history of politics, right? MAGA. I almost changed it to CAG, Keep America Great, right? But it didn't seem to have the magic. There'll never be anything like MAGA, Make America Great Again. And then after he ran the country, I couldn't use CAG because America right now is not a great country. We're laughed at all over the world. Unlike Nikki, I'm working for you. And, I'm working for you. And she's working for a lot of other people that don't necessarily love our country so much. You're going to find out a lot about her in the next short period of time, but she's starting to fade as people find out, and she's got some really bad money behind her. She's got Democrats financing her in New Hampshire. She's got Koch, who's a globalist, total globalist. He's fighting her. It's funny, he said he had the best years he's ever had under the Trump administration. He actually made a statement. Charles Koch, David was a friend of mine. Charles, I don't really know Charles Koch. I saw him interview, he had a broken leg and he had Bermuda shorts on. I said, if I had a broken leg, I wouldn't be wearing Bermuda shorts during an interview. I thought it was the worst interview I've ever seen. Under the Trump administration, you were better off, your family was better off, your neighbors were better off, your communities were better off, and our country was better off. We were never stronger than we were just 3 years ago, energy independent. America was stronger, richer, and safer, and more confident than ever before when I sat behind the Oval. So what I want to do is I want to just tell you, it's very simple. We have to get out. We have to take back our country. We have a country that's in such bad shape. We have to take it back. Nikki Haley is a disaster. She worked for me for a long time. I mean, I know it very well. I actually put her there for a different reason. I shouldn't say this, but you had a lieutenant governor named Henry McMaster who was fantastic. I figured if I took her out of South Carolina governorship, put her someplace, any place, I put her someplace, then Henry McMaster, who was my friend and who's turned out to be a great governor in South Carolina, Henry McMaster would become the governor. So I moved her to the United Nations. And honestly, she was not a good negotiator. She was not a good negotiator. Now she likes to talk about when I negotiated with China. I negotiated with China. I did all of it. We got in hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did it. And, you know, she has a hit on Social Security. You know, she wants to raise the age very substantially. You don't need that. We don't want to do that. And we have that liquid gold. We don't have to do that to our seniors. You earned it. You're right. Who said that? That's a good point. You earned it. You did earn it. And you don't need that. And the same thing with Medicare. They want to obliterate it. We're not going to do that. So I say this. Get out and vote. And make sure we win by big margins. The bigger the margin, the bigger the mandate that we have, the stronger we're going to be. And I mean strong, not just for the next state, because the next state is Nevada, and we're leading by 90 points. So, I mean, unless you had a catastrophic event, I think that's in good shape. And then we go to South Carolina, we're leading by a lot. And then we're leading by everything, by everywhere you go. But I'm talking about November. We have to win. Let's send the word to the other side. They're very destructive. Remember this. And now for sort of the opposite, in my opinion. As you know, Nikki Haley in particular is counting on the Democrats and liberals to infiltrate your Republican primary. You know that. That's what's happening. You have a group of people coming in that are not Republicans, and it's artificially boosting her numbers here, although we're still leading her by a lot. You know, as you know, I watched her speech last night. I thought it was inappropriate, but because it's bad for unity, it's bad for the party, what she said. But you'd almost think she won. She came in third, and she lost to not a particularly great candidate, obviously, as you've seen. She lost to somebody that beat her by about 2.5 points, Ron DeSanctimonious. So I'll tell you, we have these two people. We really got to get back onto Biden and beating the Democrats and not wasting a lot of time with these two. They're supported by some people that you don't want to have support. And the reason they're doing it, and I will tell you, so we had a very interesting thing. We were making the speech last night. It was called the victory speech. Yeah, please sit down. And everybody could see back there. That's a big crowd. It's a nice crowd of people. We're driving in the snow. You can't see three front. I mean, how you all got here. I said, will people show up? But they always show up, right? Because they love their country. But we were talking about her show and how corrupt the press is. And last night, it was amazing. NBC and CNN refused to air my victory speech. Think of it. Because they are crooked, they're dishonest, and frankly, they should have their licenses or whatever they have taken away. They put on Nikki Haley. She came in third, a distant third, a distant third. And they put on Ron DeSanctimonious, who came in a boring second. Now, we don't talk about him too much because over here he's polling at 4%, so we'll save him where he seems to go up. But we haven't found that place yet. He's gone down a lot. She's not doing particularly well, but she had one phony poll. She walks around with a poll saying she's up in Biden by 17. That poll is about 3 months old, and it's a fake poll. And from every other poll, she's just about down in every election. We're up every single poll for the last 2 months against crooked Joe Biden. But people behind Nikki Haley are pro-amnesty, they're pro-China, they're pro-open borders. These are the people that are backing her. They're pro-war. We don't want war. We got out of all the wars. We beat the hell out of ISIS. They're pro-Biden, frankly. And if she wins, Biden wins. And if Biden wins, New Hampshire cannot win. You're going to lose, and bad things happen. We had the greatest country in the history. In our history, 3 years ago, we had the best borders. We had the best economy. We had no inflation. We rebuilt our military. We gave you the biggest tax cuts in history, the biggest regulation cuts in history. Nobody's done what we've done, and especially, frankly, for this state. If you want a nominee who is endorsed by all the rhinos, globalists, and demented never-Trumpers, they're a dying breed, I will say, like a guy like Rhino Paul Ryan, he was so bad for us. Liberal Larry Hogan, that's another beauty. Open borders, Rhino Charles Koch. Charles Koch, he spends a lot of his inherited money on elections, but not so much, but he has been giving Nikki a lot. He wants open borders. He's pro-China. He's not pro-U.S. And crooked Joe Biden's biggest donors, then Nikki Haley is your candidate. If you want that, we need strong borders. We need free and fair elections. And if you don't have those two things, and I'd love to add in, we need an honest media, because we don't have an honest media. The Democrats are supporting her because she's easy to beat. You know, the Democrats are funding most of her campaign, and they're doing it because they want to run against, they don't want any more of Trump. How did they do in 2016? And then we did even better in 2020, a lot better, a lot better. Millions and millions of more votes. They don't want us. They want her. They're really, I mean, she's probably their first choice, and Ron DeSanctimonious is their second choice. And I'm their last choice. And, you know, but they're a party of disinformation. They see we're leading. You know, Rasmussen just came out. Did you see that? Rasmussen, highly respected. They just announced that the nomination for the Republican Party is over. They just said it's over, that Trump won. Now, I don't know how they can do that twice. But I guess they looked last night, and they looked at all of the different states. We're beating her by, you know, many, many, many points in South Carolina. She's the governor of South Carolina, and she's losing by 50 points. That's not a good sign. And very shortly, we go out to Nevada. We're beating her by about 90 points. So we're beating everybody, and we're beating much of, maybe more importantly, although we have to get there, but more importantly, we're beating crooked Joe Biden in every poll. We're beating him by 11 points in Michigan. We're beating him in all over. I mean, we're beating him in Pennsylvania. We're beating him in South Carolina. Every poll that they take. And by the way, we're beating him very big in a place called New Hampshire. Have you ever heard of it? Have you heard of it? If you want to defend your honor, and if you want to defeat the radical left Democrats and save America, you must vote for your favorite president of all time, Donald J. Trump. That's me. The only way to stop the Biden lunatics and radical leftists is they're trying to cancel out your votes. They want to cancel out your votes. That's what they're doing with Haley. They love Haley because they're going to load it up with Democrats. They're not going to win anyway. They're not going to win anyway. They're not even close. But they're going to load it up with Democrats and independents, and that's not what the Republican Party is about. We love Democrats that want to vote for us, and we love independents especially that want to vote for us, but it's not what the party is about. But you have to go in big numbers on January 23rd. That's Tuesday, next week, January 23rd. I spent so much time talking about this because we had these tremendous polls, just like we do here in Iowa, and I'd say, please, it's very important. We have to keep our eye on the ball in November, and we're sending a signal. So even if you don't believe the polls, or even if you think we're 1 point down, we're not. We're like 30 points up. But don't believe me. You have to get out, and you have to vote. I joked the other night. I got a little heat for it. I said, listen, darling, you're not feeling well, but I don't care. You have to get up. We have to vote. We have to. But I'm not feeling well. It doesn't make any difference. You have to vote. And I went a step further. I said, even if it means the ultimate, you got to vote. Because we've got to save our country. All the information you need is available at nh.donaldjtrump.com. Trump.com. Everything's available. So we do have to create the margins. We're going to be in great shape in terms of winning, but the margins, and I think that's why we got, I guess, 52%. They said it would be almost impossible to get over 40, and we got 52% last night, which is great. Biggest margin in history. Biggest margin, by a lot, the biggest margin in history. With your help, 1 week from now, we're going to win the New Hampshire primary, and then we're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden. He's a crooked guy. He's the worst president in the history of our country. He's the most corrupt president in the history of our country. And frankly, he's the most incompetent president. You're going to end up in World War III with this guy. But we're going to take back our country, and we are going to what? Make America great again. You can't vote for the Democrats, and you can't vote for DeSanctimonious, but he's only at 4% or 5%. What the hell happened to him, by the way? Man, did he go down. Ron DeSanctimonious, did he go down like a... I don't even want to talk about him because I don't want to waste it. I do want to talk about Nikki because this perception that she's gone up. But I worked with her for a long time, and she was okay. Not great. She was not great. She's not tough enough to deal with these people. I will tell you that. She's not tough enough. While Joe Biden is pushing the largest tax hike in American history, you know, he wants to quadruple your taxes, I will make the Trump tax cuts permanent, and we will deliver more tax cuts, tax credits, regulation cuts for New Hampshire workers and family than any other. We were going to, just before COVID came in, we were going to drill like we've never drilled, and we were doing that, and we were in fourth place, then we were in third, second, first. And if you look at a chart, you'll see Saudi Arabia, you'll see Russia a little bit below that. You'll see a couple of others sneak in. I mean, they're pretty good. But all of a sudden, you look at this chart where we're like this, like, oi, and then I get in, and it goes, psh. We were doing much more than they were doing. But when I left, which was ridiculous that we had to leave, but we had to leave. We have to follow the laws of our land. But what a ridiculous... Isn't it amazing? They don't investigate the people that cheated in the election. They investigate the people that understand they cheated and go after them. But they don't investigate the people that cheated like hell. We have to have fair and free elections. We have to. Nikki Haley supported a brutal 23% national sales tax, which is a disaster, by the way, why she did it. And that's why some people call her the Nikki New Tax. I don't think that's particularly good, but she did support. She wants a 23% national sales tax, and Ron DeSantis wants that also. He wants it to be 23. I think that makes them unelectable. I think if you have a 23% tax like that, I think it makes them unelectable. And there's other reasons they're unelectable, but I can tell you the greatest people in the world at misinformation and disinformation are the radical left crazy Democrats. If they think they're going to have an easy time with somebody, they'll say, oh, we don't want to run against them, they're so good. If they think they're going to get their ass kicked by somebody, they say, that's the one, we want to run against Trump, we want to run again. How did they do the last two times? It was not good for them. So we're going to take this country, we're going to turn it around, we're going to make it better than ever before, greater than ever before. South Carolina, where we're leading Nikki, I think, by like 60 points. I mean, that tells you a lot. How do you lose your own state, you're governor of a state, and you're down by 60? I don't think that's going to change. He says Birdbrain. It's Birdbrain, I don't know. That's a tough one. It's Birdbrain, but one of those things, isn't it? Welcome to the world of politics. The people behind Nikki Haley are pro-amnesty, they're pro-China, they're pro-open borders. You know, she wants open borders, don't kid yourself. Pro-war, and they're pro-Biden, because those are the people that are sending them. Biden people are coming in. They have Biden stuff, and they're coming in to register and to vote in your primary. It is crazy. You got to get that changed. We're going to take it. If we weren't popular, how do you win? Where everybody's allowed basically to come and vote. The enemy, which let's say in this case, until it's over, because you know the whole country is going to unify by its success. When we're successful, the country is going to be unified. We are going to unify our country through success. But right now, we don't want Democrats voting in the Republican primary, Sununu. Sununu ought to do that instead of walking around with Nikki Haley, and her polls go down every day. The radical left Democrats are supporting Nikki Haley because they know she's much easier to beat than Trump. And you know what? If she weren't, they wouldn't be doing it. But, you know, they're great disinformation people. Misinformation, disinformation. You know, they're almost the same, but not quite. But let's not go into definitions right now. They're very close, actually. A lot of people still don't understand it. But I give them credit for both. But they are literally, what they're doing is they will say, we want to run against Trump so bad. In the meantime, they're sending all their people to vote for Nikki Haley. The reason they do that is they want to run against Nikki Haley. Usually when they say something, it's the opposite, okay? And they're very good at it, too. They're good at cheating in elections and disinformation. She runs around with one poll from 3 months ago. It's 3 months old. In fact, the paper is frayed on the outside from her holding it up so much. You had to go. And it said she's 17 points up on Biden. But I'm the one that's up on Biden. That's the only poll she had that was good. And she's used that thing, and Fox puts it on. They all put it on. She's used it. They don't use the new polls where she's losing. She's losing to everybody. But we're winning to everybody. It just came out. We're 11 points up in Michigan. We're 9 points up in Pennsylvania. These are states that are hard. I won them in 2016. Again, I did much better with those states in 2020. But think of it. We're 11 points up in Michigan. You know why? The auto workers know that Biden sold them out. All the cars are going to be made in China based on what Biden did. How do you like what did he say? Now, this is an audience with all those cameras back there. I'm sure that's all right. That's a true fan. Who did that? Who said that? Let me see the hand. Oh, he's a tough-looking cookie. He can get away with it. You know what? He can get away with it, right? It's all right. You know, they're probably saying to their viewers that we'd like to excuse ourselves for that. In Iowa, nearly 50% of Haley voters said they plan to vote for Biden in November. Now, that means that she's like a Democrat. I actually think she might go to the Democrat Party. And I know very well, you have to stand. I really put her there because I wanted to make the lieutenant governor of South Carolina, Henry McMaster, is one of the best governors. And by the way, he really closed his, you know, he took care of COVID. He got rid of it. He had it open. Ron had his Florida was closed and strongly closed. And he loved Fauci, just so you understand. I see where I was against Fauci. Yeah, like about 6 months later, he loved Fauci, and his state was totally closed. Henry McMaster, truly, he kept that state open, South Carolina, one of the great successes. If you look at South Dakota, I could name you 7 or 8 states that really did a job. They really did. But I made him the governor. He went from lieutenant governor to governor. That was about 90% of what I wanted with putting her into the United Nations. And I put her in. She can't negotiate. I'm telling you, she can't negotiate. She's a lousy negotiator. Other than that, she's wonderful. She's a wonderful person. But if she wins, Biden wins, and I'm telling you that, and that's why they're sending all of these Democrats in to run, and it's crazy, and you got to change that rule, that law that allows Democrats to come down, and also this one-day deal where they can walk in and just sign up right away, voter registration. You got to change this stuff, Sununu. Sununu's not doing his job. I'll tell you what, I think Sununu is right now unelectable in New Hampshire, okay? I think he's unelectable. And, you know, he has a long history because his father actually treated me very well. I don't know what happened to the father. He's letting his son do this stuff. I don't know what happened to the father, but the father was okay. He was treating me pretty good. Actually, at the end, when I was winning everything, he treated me perfectly. Before, at the beginning, it wasn't that way, but he's got to straighten out his son because they have to straighten out voting in your state. And if they don't straighten it out, you're going to have some very unpleasant surprises. But it's not going to happen with us because we're leading by a lot, despite the fact they have Democrats voting because of Nikki Haley. So if you want a nominee who is endorsed by all of the rhinos, globalists, never Trumpers, and crooked Joe Biden's biggest donors, you know, her biggest donors are backers of crooked Joe, Is Bill Gates endorsing? Oh, and then when he comes to the White House to kiss my ass, I got to remember that. He's always coming. Hello, I'm Bill Gates. Hello, Bill. How you doing, Bill? What's up? No, but if you like all of those things, including the rhinos, then she's your candidate. She was sitting there like, what the hell? She didn't I put her in the room, you know. Look, one of the reasons I did, because I happen to love the Lieutenant Governor, Henry McMaster, South Carolina, great. I said, by moving her someplace, Henry McMaster becomes governor of South Carolina. And by the way, he's been a fantastic governor. Henry's been a fantastic governor. So I did him a favor. He was with me all the way. I did him a favor, but I did it because he's good. And he's been very popular. But put her over there. And like I said, she was okay, but she is not presidential timber. Now, when I say that, that probably means that she's not going to be chosen as a vice president. You know, you can go. No, you can go and you can say certain things, you know, I don't like them and blah, 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 and this. But when you say certain things, it sort of takes them out of play, right? I can't say she's not of the timber to be a vice, and then say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce that I've picked. Do you understand? But that's the way it is, okay? Tell it like it is. Tell it like it is, right, Steve? In my opinion, that's how bad it would be. Upon taking office, I will terminate every open border policy that Biden and the Biden administration put on and begin the largest deportation operation in American history. To stop the deadly drugs that are poisoning and pouring into our country, poisoning our people, I will deploy the U.S. Navy. We are going to impose, and we had this. You know, we were at a 38-year low for drugs coming in, too, not just people coming in for drugs. And now we're 9 times more. Drugs are just pouring in. We fought that hard. We spent millions of dollars on equipment that could detect. You know what the best detection, though, is? A certain type of German Shepherd. You can spend millions of dollars on drug-detecting equipment, and it's not as good as a great certain type of German Shepherd, like they're flawless. Can you imagine dogs? We all love dogs, right? It's a great thing. But the Navy's going to impose a full fentanyl blockade on the waters of our region because it comes from every different way. And I had a deal with President Xi of China, and when the election turned out the way it turned out, we got more votes than any sitting president in history, and we lost by a whisker. Bullshit, okay? Bullshit. You know, we got more votes. We got more votes, Henry, than any president in the history of our country. Any president. And bad things happen. But President Xi and I had an agreement. He was going to give the maximum penalty to anybody making fentanyl in China and sending it over here. That means the death penalty, because they have the death penalty. That's why they don't have any drug problem. In China, they have the death penalty. Singapore, other places. Where you have the death penalty, you have no drug problem. It's a very simple thing. So I don't know that our country is ready for it. But each drug dealer kills on average 500 people during his or her lifetime. And I know what it is because I have so many friends. And even if you lose somebody without that, just lose somebody. We had it this last week. I lost my mother-in-law, and she passed away, peacefully passed away. It's a very hard thing to take. But think of what happens when you lose a child or anybody to fentanyl. It's a horrible thing. And we had it just about set, and when that was going to go into existence, and then when these guys came, they didn't care about that. They didn't know about it. They didn't want to bother with it. That would have been one of the most important things we did. I'll get it done again. President Xi will do it again. I guarantee you that. The drug cartels are waging war on America, and we will destroy those cartels. We have to destroy. You know, it's war. I believe we're losing 300,000. Not, you know, they say 91,000. That's not 91,000. 300,000 people a year, I believe, are lost to drugs pouring into our country. That's worse than a war, okay? That's worse than a war. So we have a war going on. And I will use Title 42, which I had. In fact, the judge in that case was fantastic. He said they wanted to terminate it early. The judge wouldn't let him do it. He said, no, wait a minute. Do you know what's going to happen to our country if we do that? Title 42. And he said, no, but it expires. You can wait. But if you don't extend it, it would be terrible. But I'm not going to give you the right to terminate it. He was fantastic, actually. He understood. But Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families and their home countries immediately. Nikki Haley will never secure the border or stop the fentanyl that is killing thousands and thousands of New Hampshire citizens. You know, I took tours with your police force and your fire force. And a big part of what they do in New Hampshire, I don't know what it is with New Hampshire, but you probably have per capita the worst drug situation in the entire country. Why don't you try getting a new governor? That would help, okay? But you have the worst. I believe it's the worst. Per capita, I believe it's the worst, and it's not even close. But I went around with the firemen, the job they do, the policemen, the job of keeping people alive. But sometimes they'll have to do it 4 or 5 times with the same person, and oftentimes that person doesn't make it eventually. Nikki Haley opposed my border wall very strongly. She condemned my strong border policies, and they really worked. They really worked. I mean, I put in policies. I didn't want people coming in from countries that hate us, that want to blow up our shopping centers and kill our people. And so we didn't let them come in, and we had I wanted to talk about it so badly during that 4-year period. 2.5, 3 years went up. I said, I want to talk, but I don't want to mention it, because if I mention it the next day, they'll have a problem and they'll say, see? But we went now I can talk about it with great pride. Put our country first. This is called America First territory. It's America First. So here in New Hampshire, Nikki Haley, I know her well. The guy screaming, Birdbrain. Only in New Hampshire does that happen. But she's made an unholy alliance with the rhinos, the never-Trumpers, Americans for no prosperity, globalists, the radical left communists, and they want to get liberals and Biden supporters. That's what they want. And, you have a governor here that allows Democrats to vote in the Republican primary. What's that all about? Your governor... And, he'll be coming, and he'll be calling me after the election. Sir, I just want to congratulate you very much. This guy allows independents, many of whom are Democrats, independents and Democrats to vote in the Republican primary. What the hell is that all about? But despite that, we're going to win by very big numbers. In Iowa, nearly 50% of Haley's voters, think of this. With the vote that we had just a week ago, she came in last, by the way. She came in third. And Vivek did great, and he just endorsed us. You know that, right? Good man. He's got a lot to say, Vivek. And he says it fast. He's a good man. He endorsed us wholeheartedly, and we agree on so many different things. But think of this number. 50% of Haley's voters said they were voting for Joe Biden in November. What the hell kind of a Republican candidate is that? And you're going to see in a couple of minutes, we're going to bring up the governor, a fantastic governor from South Carolina, but almost every politician from South Carolina is endorsing me. How do you do that when she was the governor? And it was just reported that Nikki Haley, state director in New Hampshire, this is a very bad one. Listen carefully. Tyler Clark. Did anyone ever hear of him? He was a lobbyist for the 1630 Fund, which is managed by Arabella Advisors, which is the largest Democrat dark money network in the country and considered public enemy number 1. That's who's managing her campaign. Does that tell you something, perhaps? The 1630 Fund and the larger Arabella Fund, you know who that is? It's a network, and they're giving her a lot of money because they want her to win, because they don't want to run. Hey, look, they lost in 2016, and they lost even bigger in 2020, okay? And they don't want to do it again. They want to run against Nikki. And you've seen the polls. We're the only one that beats Biden, not because Biden's good, because he's terrible, but they have an automatic 38%. Automatic. I don't want to go what group, because I actually think we're going to get a lot of union votes, okay? That's good. But they have groups of people that automatically. So if you're this podium, you get 38%. And he's polling right now at 34. That's very hard to do. You can't. As you know, here in New Hampshire, Nikki Haley has made an unholy alliance with rhinos, never-Trumpers, Americans for no prosperity. Did you ever hear of Americans for no prosperity? I added the word no because that's essentially what they do. I was going to say America's for China prosperity. But they're no good. They're no good. They're headed up by bad people. Globalists, radical left communists to get liberals and Biden supporters to vote for her and the Republican Party. Did you see who's voting for her? Democrats are voting. What kind of a governor do you have in this state where they allow Democrats, they've already got 5,000 signed up, but that's peanuts compared to the numbers we get. So. No, but they've already got, you had to be signed up by like October 7th. But think of it, Democrats to vote in the Republican primary. What kind of a governor would allow that? He is the most overrated governor, but not really, because most people don't think he's a very good governor, so he's not that. But you'll end up getting rid of him pretty quick. The people behind Nikki are pro-amnesty. Do you like that? Pro-China, pro-open borders, pro-war, pro-deep state, and they're pro-Biden. Did you see where 50% of the people that voted for her in Iowa are going to vote for Biden? In other words, they're Democrats. They're voting. They're voting. Think of it. They're going to vote for Biden. They just had no choice, so they picked her. This is not what we want. Our movement is pro-borders, pro-jobs, pro-freedom, and 100% pro-America. Pro-America. We are the party, and I think this is so important, we are the party of common sense. You know, people say, oh, you're conservative. No, I don't care. It's like, doesn't matter. We are the party of common sense. We want borders. We want low taxes. We want a strong military. We want to drill, baby, drill. We want to drill, baby, drill, and bring down energy costs. Because your state, New Hampshire, has the highest energy costs in the entire country. Do you know that? And I am going to bring your energy costs down by 50% within 1 year. It'll be easy to do. It'll be easy to do. And it's been that way for a long time. Never made sense. But that's another governor thing. This governor, you got to get him out of there. He's a big Nikki guy, which makes sense. That made sense. When I heard that, you know, he ran for president, but he didn't run. He didn't have the guts to announce it. So he ran. He was trending around the Asa Hutchinson, you know. This guy ran. He was at 0 for a year. Then he hit, 2 months ago, he hit 1%. I said, that was like breaking news. He hit 1%, but the following month he was back to 0. Then he had 1 month where he was 0 with an arrow pointing to the left, meaning he was less. Guy ran for like a year. No, your governor wasn't much better, but in all fairness to Asa, your governor never had the guts to announce. He ran for president, but never announced because he didn't want to announce and have to take it back. So he just pretended like nothing happened. We're wise to him. The radical left Democrats are supporting Nikki for a very simple reason, because they know she's easy to beat. They came out with a poll 2 days ago where she's way down to Biden, and I'm way up on Biden, and that's the way it is. She's unelectable. Nikki Haley wants to change the working class. So just think of this. So you have a nice working class, and they want to put a 23% national sales tax on everything that's purchased. Do you think that's good? How about, forget about middle class. How about poor people? They have to pay 23% when they buy something. While she raises, and she wants to do this, the Social Security retirement age by perhaps an extra 10 years, because she's talking about a certain life cycle. So you can labor until the day you die and then not collect a penny out of your benefits that you really are entitled to. We're not going to play with your Social Security, or we're not going to play with your Medicare. Remember that. You know, I know politicians well, because for my whole life, except for the last little while, I had the greatest life going. What the hell did I do? I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone. Can you believe it? Al Capone. If he had dinner with you, even these young ladies, it didn't matter to him. He was equal opportunity. If he had dinner with you, if he didn't like you, he'd kill you. You'd be dead. This guy got indicted less than me. Do you believe it? Because I say the election was rigged. Let me tell you. And it was. And we have all the proof you need, too. If you're lucky enough to live past the retirement age of 75, I guess they go by 75 under the Nikki Haley plan. She wants to gut Medicare using the Paul Ryan scheme. You know Paul Ryan, a rhino? Like the ultimate rhino. He destroys everything. He goes on boards, and the company hasn't done so well since he's done that. But Paul Ryan used to be Speaker of the House. Not a good one. He led the Democrat ads. You know, this was the ad, the granny off the cliff. They took his policy and they say, let's do an ad where we push granny off a cliff in a wheelchair. This was not a good ad for us. That was Paul Ryan. With your vote, it's campaign, and this is on Tuesday, you can declare that the Republican Party is never going back to the days of a weak establishment candidate. Candidates who preach cutting Medicare and Social Security at home while they spend trillions and trillions of dollars on really dumb, endless wars. They never end. They go on for 22 years. If I wasn't running or if I wasn't leading by a lot, they wouldn't care. Honestly, if I was in 7th place, but think of it. What do we have, like 11 or 12, including some Democrats, right? So you had a few Democrats. I don't know what happened to them. They're gonzo. Then you have this no labels crap. You know what no labels is? Take somebody that failed in his own party and he runs in no labels. You know? I don't know what that deal is all about. Actually, the Democrats are more concerned about it than I am. But they'll try fixing it so that a Republican runs, you know. But no labels is not a good thing. It's not the way the country was supposed to be. But if I weren't running or if I was in 7th place, none of this stuff would be happening. I'd have a wonderful life, but I'd be losing. And that wouldn't be a wonderful life. That wouldn't be, because we have to win. Now think of it. If I were in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th place or wasn't running, I wouldn't have any of the stuff that we talk about. I wouldn't be taking flights, but of course I wouldn't be here either, right? We wouldn't be here with people standing outside not being able to get in. So the new Redfield-Wilton poll, highly respected, it has Trump at 72% and Haley at 9%. In Nevada, we're polling at 100%. Think of that. And a lot of people don't know, they never cover this, but the next state is not South Carolina, where, if you saw, almost every single elected official was here last night endorsing me. Pretty hard. You know, she's the governor, they're all endorsing me, which tells you something. But in Nevada, which is actually next week, and we have 100% because it's a caucus, and I was leading by so much that they all pulled out. That's a nice feeling. Then we go to South Carolina, where we're leading by a lot. In South Carolina, respected pollster Tony Fabrizio. Is he a relation to Al Capone? Tony Fabrizio? Alphonse Capone, I keep saying it. The guy got away with murder. Tony Fabrizio has it where Trump is at 64, very good pollster, by the way, and Haley is at 25, 64, 25. We're leading into New Hampshire, and all over the state we're leading here, and all of the polls, but, you know, with all of it, I could go over polls. You know, I only give you good polls, okay? I never talk about bad polls, okay? You understand. But we don't have any bad polls. We really don't. And our best polls are against Biden, frankly. Our best polls... And the other people that were running and are running, but are losing very substantially to Biden. So with all of the polls, I won't go through any more of them, but they're the same thing. With all of the polls that are out, we're all set to win, but you have to do just one favor. No matter how big we're winning, we want to win by big margins. It means so much. To win by 70%, 50%, 40%. That's what happened in Iowa. I was going through Iowa. Every time I got up, the first thing I say, don't believe the polls, just go out and vote, because even if we're going to win by a lot, we got to win by more. The more we win by, the bigger a signal we send for November. So that's why you have to do it. We're also dominating crooked Joe Biden in the general election. We're up 8 points over Biden in the brand new Rasmussen poll. And Haley is down, I think, 6 or something like that. No, she's going to lose. She's going to lose. No, they want her to run. The reason they're financing her, they're spending all this money. They have a guy named Reid Hoffman, sloppy-looking guy, not attractive at all. I'm not allowed to say that. If it were a woman, I could definitely not say it. But about him, he's a real slob. But he's rich. And he's fine. He's a Democrat operative. He's giving them a lot of money. It's terrible. Giving her.
No, it's fantastic. I'm very confident. I mean, this is it. Look, we just stopped here. We stopped at a polling site. We picked it at random. We may stop at one more. And nobody knew we were coming. This is pretty amazing.
Mr. President,
she's staying in through Super
I don't
Tuesday.
care.
Is she a threat to you?
No, and I don't care if she stays there. Let her do whatever she wants. It doesn't matter. I can just say that there's never been a movement like this. Make America great again. In the history of our country, I just stopped here and I figured I'd see 3 or 4 people and maybe walk inside. And you see a crowd like this, and this is organic. This is organic.
Mr.
Mr.
President,
President, do you go too far, misspelling her name, suggesting that she could...
No. I don't think it goes too far. I mean, they say a lot of things that are wrong. They have the wacko governor up here who ran for president, but he didn't have the courage to say he was running. You know, you had Sununu. He was running for president for months. He was getting Asa Hutchinson type numbers, which are very low, and then he never had the guts to say. So, you know, they just give so much false information, and it's very sad.
Mr. President,
stuff about you, like you kind of went back and forth right for months about Ron DeSantis. Now you're
I did.
DeSantis. You kind of, you know, once it's done and they wrap out and they get behind you, do you forgive those people, or are you kind of?
I try to. I do. I'm a very forgiving person. Okay? I try. You're doing a good job.
Mr. President,
Thank you, everybody.
you talked about trying to unify the party. How do you bring these Nikki Haley voters, some of whom voted for you in 2020 but say they don't want to now?
Oh, they'll all vote for me.
How do you bring them back into the
They're
tank?
going to all vote for me again. They're going to all vote for me again, everybody. And I'm not sure we need too many. I'm not sure. I think that Biden is the worst president in the history of this country. But we're going to all come back. They're all coming back. And I think you see that here. I think you see. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. President, what does a win look like for you?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Whoa. Well, I want to thank everybody. This is a fantastic state. This is a great, great state. You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now. 3. We win it every time. We win the primary. We win the generals. We've won it, and it's a very, very special place to me. It's very important. If you remember, in 2016, we came here and we needed that win, and we won by 21 points, and it was great. And today, I have to tell you, it was very interesting because I said, wow, what a great victory. But then somebody ran up to the stage all dressed up nicely when it was at 7. But now I just walked up and it's at 14. But she ran up when it was 7. And, you know, we have to do what's good for our party. And she was up and I said, wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost. And you know, last week we had a little bit of a problem, and if you remember, Ron was very upset because she ran up and she pretended she won Iowa. And I looked around, I said, didn't she come in 3rd? Yeah, she came in 3rd. And then I looked at the polls, she was talking about most winnability, who's going to win, and I had one put up. I don't know if you see it, but I have one put up. We've won almost every single poll in the last 3 months against crooked Joe Biden. Almost every poll. And she doesn't win those polls. And she doesn't win those. This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night. She had a very bad night. And you have the now very unpopular governor of this state. This guy, he's got to be on something. I've never seen anybody with energy. He's like hopscotch. And, you know, I'm watching this guy, and 2 weeks ago he said, we're going to win in the landslide, we're going to win. About 3 days ago he started saying, well, we want to do well. That's a big difference. But I walked out just now, we're 14 points up, and I don't know what it's going to be. But when she was up here, it was like 6 or 7. And, you know, with like 7% of the vote counted. Now, let me just tell you, we had an unbelievable week last week in Iowa. We set a record. It was the best in the history of the caucus, in the history. And I remember I sort of had the same feeling. I'm up and I'm watching, and I said, she's taking a victory lap. And we beat her so badly, she was... But Ron beat her also. You know, Ron came in 2nd and he left. She came in 3rd and she's still hanging around. The other thing, she only got 25% of the Republican votes. I don't know if you saw that. Tremendous numbers of independents came out because in this state, because you have a governor that doesn't frankly know what the hell he's doing, in this state, in the Republican primary, they accept Democrats to vote. In fact, I think they had 4,000 Democrats before October 6th. They already voted. Now, they're only voting because they want to make me look as bad as possible. Because if you remember, we won in 2016. And if you really remember, and if you want to play it straight, we also won in 2020. By more. And we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. But as they said, we lost by a whisker, just by a whisker. No. But we can't let that happen. You know, you have to have people that speak up. I said, I can go up and I can say to everybody, oh, thank you for the victory. It's wonderful. Or I can go up and say, who the hell was the imposter that went up on the stage before and like claimed a victory? She did very poorly, actually. She had to win. The governor said, she's going to win, she's going to win, she's going to win. Then she failed badly. Now, I have here, if he promises to do it in a minute or less, but the only person more angry than, let's say me, but I don't get too angry, I get even. If you take a look throughout the history of our country, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of this not great country right now, it's a country in decline, it's a troubled country, it's a failing country, frankly. But if you took the 10 worst presidents and put them together, the 10 worst, absolutely 10 worst. I used to say 5. Remember, I started, I'd say 5. Then I said, wait a minute, we can add another 5. They would not have done the damage that crooked Joe Biden has done to our wonderful country. They would not have done the damage. There's never been anything like it. And you say, are they stupid people? I don't think so, because nobody can cheat that well if they're stupid. Do they hate our country? They must hate our country, because there's no other reason that they can be doing the things they do. Take a look. The taxes, they want to raise your taxes times 4. They want to let the Trump tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, they want them to expire. Your taxes are going to go through the roof. You take a look at regulations. They're throwing regulations. You can't breathe. You can't even breathe with what they're doing. You take a look at our border. So bad. There's never been a border like this in the world. 4 years ago, we had the safest, best border in the United States. I built hundreds of miles of border wall. And they always say, oh, he didn't build hundreds of miles, because if there's a board laying on the ground, they say that's a renovation. They call it a renovation. If there's 2 nails laying from 50 years ago, they say, oh, that was a renovation. These are very dishonest people, and you're always fighting them. And just a little note to Nikki. She's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already. Not big reasons. A little stuff that she doesn't want to talk about. But she will be under investigation within minutes. And so would Ron have been. But he decided to get out. He decided to... I love it. But, you know, she forgot one thing. She forgot one thing. Next week, it's Nevada. Next week, it's Nevada. It's not South Carolina. We love South Carolina, but next week, it's Nevada. And I'm pleased to announce we just won Nevada. We just won 100%. Because all of them, they looked at it, and they took polls, and I was polling at 95% to 4 or 5%, and they decided not to play in Nevada. So we just won Nevada. We have a man from Nevada here, Steve Wynn, wherever he may be, and John Paulson, the great John Paulson, made plenty of money in Nevada. Doesn't live there, but he makes a hell of a lot of money. He makes money everywhere he goes, actually. So money machine. Maybe we'll put you, you know what? Put him at Treasury. You want to make a little money? Let's put you. Anyways, good to have you guys. But we go to Nevada, and that's been won, so we pick up all of those delegates. And then we do go to South Carolina, where we've done really well, where I've done well. We have a great governor and lieutenant governor and great everything, because almost every one of them have endorsed me. 2 great senators. which is hard. I mean, did you ever think that she actually appointed you, Tim? And think of it, appointed, and you're the senator of his state, and she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's good. That's why he's a great politician. That's why he's a great politician. So this is a great evening, and it is, you know, we are going to Nevada for a little while. We're not going to have to do too much. We have a great team there, but it's a team that we can now send someplace else. They did a fantastic job, but and it's a fantastic place, really a fantastic place. But we'll be leaving there very quickly. We'll head out to South Carolina, where I think we're going to win easily. I think we're 50 points up, 5-0. 5-0, 50 points up on a person that was governor. That tells you something. But I felt I should do this because I find in life you can't let people get away with bullshit, okay? You can't. You just can't do that. And when I watched her in the fancy dress that probably wasn't so fancy come up, I said, what's she doing? We won. And she did the same thing last week, but he was much more angry about it than I was. I said, get up there and you let him know. We are going to win this. We have no choice. If we don't win, I think our country is finished. I do. I believe our country is finished. We have an opportunity to do something so amazing. And the good news, and the reason we have such support, the best numbers I've ever had, the reason we have support is because they are so bad at what they're doing and so evil, and they're destroying our country. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank this group of people. We will never forget you. We will never forget. And I made a pledge. I made a pledge to your state that you have the highest energy costs in the country. In the first year, they're going to be reduced by 50% because we are going to drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. Inflation's going to come way down, but in the first year, your energy costs are going down by 50%. Thank you very much. We love you. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the trail. And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Nikki Haley, have you ever heard of her? I didn't know she was still campaigning. She's still campaigning? Oh, she was just endorsed by Liz Cheney. Can you believe it? If Liz Cheney ever endorsed me, I'd say, no, I don't want it. I don't want that. And there's a comparison graphic that they're going to put up on the screen, which is sort of interesting. But we're beating everybody. We're beating her by a lot, but we're beating Biden. She can't beat Biden. The polls are showing, the most recent polls, because she doesn't have Republican support. You know what she doesn't have? She doesn't have MAGA. She doesn't have MAGA. There's no MAGA. The radical left Democrats want Nikki Haley because they know she's the easiest person to beat, and she will. She doesn't have Republican support. Nikki Haley supports a 23% national sales tax, and she wants to gut Medicare and Social Security, raising the retirement age of Social Security to, think of this, about 77, about 10 years, 12 years. Anybody in their 60s or 70s, would you like to say, I'm just about there, darling? You're 62 years old. I'm just about there, darling, but I see Nikki Haley wants to make it 10 years longer. Despite being completely unelectable, and I believe she's unelectable, Nikki is she's got a continuing plan in a shameless radical left craziness because she's basically a Democrat. She's almost a radical left Democrat, which is hard to win elections like that, but it's like they use certain things as like a Trojan horse in the Republican primaries. Haley made a corrupt deal to sell out to the radical left, taking the Democrat money from donors and recruited all the votes. In the primaries that you just saw, she got killed in both of them. You had Iowa, you had New Hampshire. She got absolutely beaten badly. And she tried to cancel out Republicans, and she sort of did. She only got 25% of the Republican vote in Iowa, where she came in a distant third. A distant third. Remember, we have Ron DeSantis. Now, you know, I've terminated that other name. Right? They asked me. They said, what about the sanctimonious? I said, no, I put that into retirement, that name is. So now I call him Ron DeSantis. But Ron DeSantis came in second. He didn't come. She came in third, a distant third. And he got out, and then she went to New Hampshire, and she got slaughtered in New Hampshire, even though she had a lot of Democrats voting for her. Because in New Hampshire, they allowed Democrats and independents to vote. I said, this could be a little tough. And we still won by a lot. By a landslide, I got. Sort of a landslide. And she didn't come to Nevada because they looked at a poll, and I was at 97%. She said, I think we're not going to win Nevada. And we have a caucus, and it's not really a traditional thing. It's a caucus. Caucuses can be very good. Caucuses, like Iowa was a caucus. It's very interesting. It's actually a lot more work, but it's a very interesting way to go. Trump Republican voters are going to defeat Nikki Haley's liberal Democrat donors every single time. I mean, her biggest donor is a radical left donor who will drop her right after this. But the donor is a big radical lefty, a slob. He's a slob. You take a look at him. He's a radical left donor who gave her a lot of money because they want to fight her. They want to be against her because they didn't do too well in 2016, and they got lucky as hell with all the theft in 2020. They got lucky as hell. They don't want to go through that again. So now they've weaponized. They hope that's going to be their new form of cheating, weaponizing. They want to weaponize the FBI, the DOJ. That's going to be their form of cheating. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. And every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor because I'm being indicted for you. I am being indicted for you. Think of
Why is Nikki Haley still in the race when you're dominating in the polls?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you very much. You just said it. I don't know why she continues, but let her continue. We have a big one coming up, as you know, in South Carolina. And the polls are indicating that we're through the roof on that one. We're leading by, I guess, 35%, 35 points. So I don't know. I think she hurts herself, but I think she hurts the party, and in a way hurts the country. But it seems to be dying. She did poorly in Iowa. She did very poorly in Iowa, actually. She came in third place. Ron DeSantis beat her, although you wouldn't know that if you listened to his speech. She did poorly in New Hampshire. She did poorly no matter where she went. I don't know how the results aren't in yet from the Virgin Islands, but I know she's playing it very hard. And in Nevada, she lost to no name. She had a no name, and she lost by, I guess, 40 points. So I don't know why she continues, but she's a, I don't really care if she continues. I think it's bad for the party. I think it's actually bad for her. So I appreciate the tremendous record that you set tonight. You set an all-time record. And it really was a tremendous turnout. They had lines going back, and they sort of knew who was doing it. When you get 98%, we wanted to get over 80, and we got 98. And also, if you remember, and last night, you know what happened last night, right? None of the above. So I'd like to congratulate none of the above. I was one of those none of ever aboves. I was one of them. No, I watched that last night, and they won by 44 points. None of the above. So I want to congratulate. But seriously, we have new authority to grant mass asylum, which, by the way, Birdbrain loves mass asylum. There's nothing nice about her. I will never run against President Trump. He is a great president, the greatest president in my lifetime, which is actually quite a bit now. the greatest president in my lifetime. She said, I will never run against him. Then she comes over to see me at Mar-a-Lago. Sir, I will never run against you. She brought her husband. Where's her husband? Oh, he's away. He's away. What happened to her husband? What happened to her husband? Where is he? He's gone. He knew. He knew. But no, think of this. Think of this. I will never run against you, sir, but it's all over tape. We've got like 19 versions. The great Dan Scavino, he made 19 versions of it. I will never run against him. Will you run against him? I will never. A little while later, I'd like to announce my candidacy. We don't need people like this. And I'll tell you what, she did a job. She was fine. She was okay. But I didn't put her there because I wanted her there at the United Nations. That was up to me. I wanted to take your lieutenant governor, who's right here, and make him governor. That's what I wanted. And I wanted you to have Peggy as a first lady. Got the best first lady. So that's a lot of truth to that, too. Because this man, when I was campaigning, for a long time I got along with her, made contributions to the governor. She'd always called contributions for years. And then I decided to run, and I said, one person I know I have is Nikki. I have Nikki Haley. Tricky Nikki. I have Haley. And so now I announce, and I call various people for endorsements. I don't think they mean much unless it's my endorsement, right, Henry? It doesn't mean much. And she didn't return my call. This years ago. Then I call her again. Finally, she returns, no, I'm sorry, I'm with somebody else. I won't tell you who because it happens to be now a friend of mine. We've all unified and friends. But you know what? It's not China, no. No, it's not China. But I had a man who, at the time, I didn't know, the lieutenant governor believed in Donald Trump. He believed in me. And I had the lieutenant governor, and the governor had some other candidate. And Henry, we blew that field away like nothing, right? And he and Peggy, at 6 in the morning, I said, who the hell is the guy? I said, that guy is campaigning like hell, your lieutenant governor. And I wanted him because I felt he deserved it. We won. And I'll never forget my speech. I said, I would much rather have the lieutenant governor than the governor. This is after we won. And everyone understood exactly what I meant. But he became the governor, and you're one of the most popular governors and maybe the best governor in the whole country. Oh, he didn't expect to build up like that. He didn't think, he doesn't even care. He just wants to do his job. He's a great gentleman. That's a great couple. Thank you very much. And Peggy, thank you very much. Appreciate it. What Crooked Joe is doing to our border is a crime. Over to the Democrats. Crooked Joe, in the general election, we're leading by landslide margins, and they're very worried about it. I don't know. Personally, I don't think he makes it to the starting gate. I hate when they compare him to me. He's old, he's broken, he's incompetent. But let's also talk about Trump. You know, I stand up here, I make these speeches all the time. All the time. We have the biggest crowds in history. In history. If I didn't have it, you'd know before anybody. Front Row Joes would know. Our great people from North Carolina. Over here, we have like 35 women. They follow me, North Carolina. They follow me all over the country. They're beautiful. They're great. I don't know what the hell their husbands are saying. This is, I think, their 117th stop. But Front Row Joes, you may even top it, right? These are serious. How many stops? Yeah, in the 90s. All right, they beat you. The women from North Carolina won. That's all right. But there's never been anything like this. Look, we do these rallies. They're incredible. This isn't really a rally. This was a stop, and we have thousands of people outside that can't even get in. It's amazing. And, you know, yesterday she had a rally. 9 people showed up. 9 people. She's finished. In fact, our lead against Biden is now 6 points, 7 points, 9 points, 11 points, and even one at 15 points. And the betting markets all over the world, the betting markets have us beating Biden by 21 points. We have to do that. And by the way, she's getting clobbered. She's getting clobbered by the Democrats, even though she probably is one. I think she probably is. They're putting up her money. They have the biggest Democrat supporters giving her money because Republicans aren't. They think it's a hopeless case. But don't let that fool you. They cheat like hell. So everyone has to go and keep your eyes wide open for the cheaters and vote, vote, vote. You got to do that. And the primary just coming up. I know you think we're going to win by a lot, and I think we are by probably a record. We've broken every record so far. We've broken Iowa, New Hampshire. We broke every one of them. Every record, every place we've run. Nevada, we broke. The Virgin Islands, we got 100% of the vote. We've broken every record, and I think we're going to break the record here. But it doesn't matter. You have to go vote because we have to show in November the kind of a movement that we have. There's never been a movement like this in the history of our country. This is MAGA. This is MAGA country. This is MAGA country. And you know, when Biden gets up and he barely can read, he can barely stand. Remember, he used to say, I'd like to take him to the back of the barn. And everyone thought it was so cute. When I said I'd love to go back there with that guy, it'd take about 2 seconds. I'd go like this. He'd go down so fast, but when I said it, they said the fake news, but look at all that fake news. When I said it, they said, he's a fascist, he's a fascist. When he said, oh, isn't that nice? When I said it, they said he's a fascist. No, I'm not a fascist. They also said, years ago, remember Hillary Clinton? I don't call her crooked anymore. I use that term for Joe. We don't need to. We don't care about her so much. To me, she's beautiful, Hillary. She's a very beautiful woman. But when I was talking and speaking and all the things that we do so beautifully, so not, you know, it's very interesting. I've never had an empty seat, right? This place is packed, they're all packed. I never get credit for being a great speaker. I don't know if I'm a great speaker or not. Who the hell knows? I never get credit. Right? I never get credit. I don't know. Henry thinks I'm a very good speaker. But you know, no, every rally, like this one, turns out they're all rallies because if we have 1,000 people, 10,000 people show up, they're all rallies. But they come by the thousands. We never have empty seats. We never have anything empty. We usually have to put screens like this outside so people can see. We did it in Nevada. We did it in New Hampshire. We were going to do it in Iowa, but it was 40 degrees below zero in Iowa. And by the way, the electric cars were not working too well. They don't work well in cold weather, and that was seriously cold. I had to walk from here to like the stairway that Joe Biden can't find. See the stairway over there? Can never find. Where's the stair? He always moves. He's move. And yet they're going to show it. Every time I show it, I get in trouble. You know why? Because these fake news people who are among the most corrupt people in the world. It's true. They say, look, Donald Trump could not find his way off the podium. So I imitate Biden, and in one case there was a wall, like that. A lot of times we have people back there. Do it. And these are the front row Joes they've seen. But here's the risk. Whenever I do it on the newscast, Donald Trump had a hard time finding his way off a platform. There were 5 different stairways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's real easy. He's the only guy in history that cannot find it. But when I do it, they show it at night. They show me mimicking him, and they say, Donald Trump could not find his way off the platform. These are very dishonest people. When I say, Barack Hussein Obama is the president of the United States, meaning there's a lot of control there because the one guy can't put 2 sentences together. So I say, Barack Hussein Obama. Remember Rush used to go, Barack Hussein Obama. You go, Barack Hussein Obama. But he'd do that. Rush. Do we miss Rush? Yes. But when I say that Obama is the president of our country, blah, 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 they go, he doesn't know that's Biden. He doesn't know. So it's very hard to be sarcastic. When I interpose, because I'm not a Nikki fan and I'm not a Pelosi fan, and when I purposely interpose names, they said he didn't know Pelosi from Nikki, from Tricky Nikki. He didn't know. I interpose, and they make a big deal out of it. I said, no, I think they both stink. They have something in common. They both stink. And remember this, when I make a statement like that about Nikki, that means she will never be running for vice president. She will never be running for vice president. Remember that. There are things you can say about people. Do you ever see where, you're really hitting one person, they're hitting you, but it goes to a level. But we're at the level now, I am in particular, Birdbrain and lots of other things. There are things that when you say that you're never going to have her, so I hope nobody wants her because I think she's absolutely terrible. She's terrible. So you're never going to have. The radical left Democrats want Nikki Haley because they know she's easy to beat. Look at her polls. Her polls are terrible against Biden. She wants to gut Medicare and Social Security and raise the retirement age by 10 years. How about Social Security? You have another year to go, and then you learn it's not a year. It's going to be 11 years to go. I don't know. Somehow some people aren't going to like that too much. That's what she wants to do. She's wanted to do that for a long time. She gave land away to China, but most importantly, I'm beating Biden in almost every poll by a lot, whereas she loses to Biden in virtually every poll. And her numbers, by the way, are tanking. Her numbers are going down. As she gets angrier, crazier, and suffers deeper scars from Trump derangement syndrome. She's got a terminal case, Trump derangement syndrome. Not a nice thing. There are many people afflicted with it. Most of them are gone. On the amnesty bill, Nikki sided with crooked Joe Biden. I sided with the American people. She sided with Biden. Nikki has gone so far left because of her Democrat donors. She's actually got very little money now because they all gave up because she's given, there was one poll that said she has no chance. That's pretty tough, 0. I give her a 1%. I don't really mean it, but I give her a 1%. And that she's not just attacking me, she's actually attacking the entire, she is really going after the Republican Party. And that's very bad. We got to beat Biden. We got to beat Biden. 3 years ago, she said, all of us who worked with Donald Trump witnessed the tremendous amount of love and respect he has for our military. He was determined to protect our military. We had many conversations in the NSC meetings about protecting them. He loved our military so much, is what she said. Now she says, well, I don't know too much about him in the military. And on that, though, she was correct. I love our military. You have a big military here. I love our vets. I've taken care of our vets like no president has ever done. No president has ever given the vets what I gave them. I gave her the job at the United Nations, 90% for one reason, because I wanted to make Henry McMaster the governor of the great state of South Carolina. And he's done a great job. Thank you very much. And Peggy, thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. That is really something. This was a little sooner than we anticipated. It was an even bigger win than we anticipated. And I was just informed that we got double the number of votes that has ever been received in the great state of South Carolina. So that's pretty good. So it's a record times 2. And there's something going on in the country. Some really great things are going on. You look outside and you see all of the horror. You see millions and millions of people coming across the border illegally. We don't know where they come from. They come from jails. They come from prisons. They come from all sorts of places that we don't want to know. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums. And we don't want that in our country. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to stand for it. You have terrorists coming in. You have people coming in that we just can't, we can't do this. No country could sustain what's happening to the United States of America, no country. So we're going to straighten things out. The border is the worst it's ever been. You know, in 2016 we won, and we had a bad border, and I talked about the border a lot, talked about it a lot. And so we're going to fix it, we're going to fix it. We fixed it very quickly, and in 2020 we couldn't talk about it, although we did get millions of more votes the second time. But now there's a spirit that I have never seen. We ran 2 great races, but there's never been, ever, there's never been a spirit like this. And I just want to say that I have never seen the Republican Party so unified as it is right now. Never been like this. And a big part of that is the people standing behind me. These are the biggest officials in South Carolina, but I say like the biggest officials in our country as far as I'm concerned. They're state figures, but they're national figures, and in the truest sense of the word, they love our country so much, and they want to see our country succeed and be respected again. Right now, we're a laughing stock all over the world. Our country is going to be respected again, respected like never before. So this is a fantastic evening. It's an early evening and a fantastic. So you can all go down and you can celebrate for about 15 minutes, and we have to get back to work because the big date, you know, Michigan's coming up. We're doing great. The auto workers are going to be with us 100% because they got sold out by this country. But Michigan's up, and we're going to have a tremendous success there. And then we have a thing called Super Tuesday, and I think we're leading 91-7 overall. If you don't mind, may I have the pleasure of introducing some incredible people? Because they stuck right from the beginning, from the very moment we announced, and they believe in make America great again. That's what they believe in. They believe in America first. We're putting America first. First of all, my family, Melania, Barron, Don Jr. and Kimberly, Ivanka and Jared, Tiffany and Michael. They're so supportive. So supportive of me, and we really appreciate it and love them. They're great. We have a great family, and we have incredible friends, and we're going to be up here on November 5th, and we're going to look at Joe Biden, and we're going to look him right in the eye. He's destroying our country, and we're going to say, Joe, you're fired. Get out. Get out, Joe. You're fired. They're destroying our country, and we're going to... I just wish we could do it quicker. 9 months is a long time. I just wish we could do it quicker, Mr. Governor. Is there anything you can do with your vast powers to make that, you know, in certain countries you're allowed to call your election date. If I had the right to do it, I'd do it tomorrow. I'd say, we're having an election tomorrow. Henry, is there anything you can do? I want to start off because right from the beginning, Henry McMaster, the governor of this incredible state, and much more importantly, his wife Peggy, she's with him all the way, I'll tell you. Never saw anything, what a couple. But I'd like to ask him to say a few words. He's a very special man, an incredible governor, very popular in the state, and really, I mean, he gave us some very good advice, and he has right from the beginning. You know, from the day I announced I had the lieutenant governor. He was the lieutenant governor. And from right at the beginning, when I announced, and I said, I don't know the gentleman. Is he good? They said, he's really great. I said, well, I hope so. And you know what? Within about 2 weeks, I said, that guy is unbelievable. You know, I never got the support of the governor. She supported somebody else, but I had the support of somebody much, much better, Henry McMaster. And we won in a landslide. And I'd like to ask the governor to say a few words. Please, Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief. Y'all, I would like you all to remember this moment that you were here. This is a great moment in American history. We'll probably never see another one like it. Every time a rocket launches, you know, it goes up slow and then it's climbing and climbing, and then boom, that next stage comes off and it goes. Well, we just did that. We just hit maximum velocity, and we're going all the way.
So I'm going to ask somebody else to say, because he came on board and Lindsay wanted him and the lieutenant governor wanted him and everybody wanted him. Henry and Peggy wanted him. So I thought he was okay, but he didn't love speaking about himself because he's a good person. See, I have no problem with that. It's a problem. What a personality, I don't know. But he endorsed me, and then we asked him to go and do a few shows, and, you know, they're not often nice shows. They're very hostile. And what he did was, I said, is this the same man? And he campaigned nicely, but he's a high-quality person. When he was supporting me the day, is that correct, Lindsay? When he went out, Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott, he went out and he was ripping it. I said, what happened to Tim Scott? What a dynamo. And he has been one of our great advocates. He's been doing things that have been unbelievable. And I'm just very happy he didn't have that same energy, drive, because I think I probably would have been out of the race a long time ago. But I want to say, a very special man. I really do mean it. So many people have such great respect for him, and you're very lucky to have him in the state. Tim, please, say a few words.
Hello, South Carolina! The longer I speak, the less you hear of him. So let me just ask one survey question, and you better answer it loud and clear. Is South Carolina Trump country?
Thank you very much, Tim. Really great job. Amazing. Another man, not a lot of people know him. He doesn't do too much television. He happens to be a little bit further left than some of the people on the stage. But I always say, when I'm in trouble on the left, I call up Lindsey Graham and he straightens it out so fast. And I'll tell you, no, remember. What? I love him. He's a good man. Come up here, Lindsay. Come up here, Lindsay. Come here.
Okay, you ready? America, the nightmare you're facing is just about over. Help is on the way. This is the most qualified man to be president of the United States. And let it be said that South Carolina created the biggest political comeback in American history.
Thank you. So, I have a son who's a very talented guy, and he works so hard, and we love him, and his wife is very good. She goes on, and Laura. And I want to thank Eric and Laura for doing such a fantastic job. And really amazing. They're amazing people. Let's go down a little list of some of the people that are up here tonight, because every one of them is a star in their own right. And your lieutenant governor is going places. You do know that, right? Pamela Abbott. And really going places. And Speaker of the House, Merle Smith, who's coming up in a couple. You know, some of these people are actually busy. He's running to get over here. But we want to thank you, Speaker of the House. Fantastic person, doing a great job for the state. An Attorney General who's been in the news lately a lot, winning cases. Oh, I wish we had such a good Attorney General like that in New York. Oh. He's a great Attorney General. Alan Wilson, thank you, Alan. His father happens to be up here, too. Remember his famous, "You lied." Remember? He's been loved ever since, hasn't he? Huh? Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Curtis, thank you very much. Wherever you may be, thank you. Thank you, Curtis. Mark Hammond, Secretary of State. Thank you, Mark. Ambassador And this is a great ambassador, one of the best. Anytime we had a problem, I just called Ed McMullen, and he would solve the problem very quickly. Ed, thank you very much. We have a man who's done a really good job in the state, your South Carolina GOP chair, Drew McKissick. Thank you. Thank you. We have a highly opinionated group of people. I'll tell you, they turned very positive on you very quickly. So you have a beautiful, beautiful state right next to you, North Carolina. We love North Carolina. In fact, they named their daughter Carolina. And I said, which state? She said both. She's very, I think I know which state, but that's okay. But they have the most beautiful daughter named Carolina, so we love both of them. We love them both very much, and we won them both very easily. And one of the reasons we won North Carolina is a man named Michael Watley, who looks to me, we gave him our endorsement, and he looks to me like he's going to be going on to the National Republican Party as the boss. Michael Watley. Where is Michael? Michael, thank you very much. And he's going to be working with Laura. And we may be putting Kellyanne in the group, too. Do we like Kellyanne? We love Kellyanne, right? But you're going to do a fantastic job, both of you. We appreciate it very much. What a job he's done in North Carolina. You know, that evening of 2020 with those votes coming in, we're leading in Pennsylvania. And all of a sudden, something happened. It went boom. And then we're leading all over the place, Georgia, and then boom. And we're leading. But North Carolina, I said, when is North Carolina, when is that going to go? When are they going to drop lots of ballots into that one? And you know what he did? He just kept that thing, and we never had a problem. And I said, that's my kind of guy. He had hundreds of lawyers. How many lawyers did you have? He had 500 lawyers to make sure they didn't cheat, and they didn't cheat in North Carolina. And I said, that's my kind of guy, so I appreciate it. Great job. We're very proud of you, and you're going to do a fantastic job. And come election period, you know, we used to have election night. Now we have election period because some of these elections go on for 48 days, 61 days. Then they announce, they get all this equipment, and they announce, they'll be announcing the vote in 3 weeks from now. Can you imagine? They don't know what they're doing, but I will tell you, you have done a fantastic job, and we very much appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. We also have a lot of members of Congress, including members of Congress out of the audience. This room is full of energy, and our party is full of energy like never before. And I mean it. There's never been unity. There has never been unity in our party. Just the fact, think of it, we've got a lot of primaries in the state. The fact that we got double the number of votes in history. There's never been anything like that. Who's ever heard of that? So we have members of Congress with us. I'm very proud of this one because I sort of said that guy would be great. We had somebody that did a vote that I wasn't exactly happy with. He voted to impeach your favorite president. And until then, he'd love to have that vote back, I can tell you. But until then, he was a man that couldn't be beaten. I said, really, let's see. I said, who do we have that's good? They said, the best we have is a man named Russell Fry. And Russell Fry got out there, beat him so badly in the primaries, he had my support. And he's been a fantastic congressman, so wherever you may be, hi, Russell. What a great job. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was great. We got rid of that one. We got rid of a lot of them. Almost, I guess every one of them, almost every one of them, now they're gone. The impeachers are all gone. Nancy Mace is here, a non-controversial person, but she's a real advocate, and she's become a real advocate, and I appreciate it, Nancy, very much. Thank you very much. She's a very strong woman, and we want strong women. We like strong women. William Timmons, Congressman William Timmons, who's been a fantastic warrior for our country. Joe Wilson, I spoke to you about him before. He is tough and he is smart. And he and his beautiful wife produced a wonderful, wonderful Attorney General. So, Joe, thank you very much, and you've done a fantastic job. Loves our country. Michael Waltz knows more about the military probably than anybody. And we see him on a lot, and they always want his opinion. And he's got very strong opinions, and he hates to see what's happening to our country. That I can tell you, but he'll straighten it out. We'll all straighten it out together. Michael Collins. Michael, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Great job. A very non-controversial person, but a very good person. People don't understand this is a very good person, and he's a very capable man, Matt Gaetz. Thank you, Matt. That's not bad, Matt. Wow. Wow. That's impressive. I'm very impressed, right? Matt, what's going on? How many people did you put up here? Huh? That's fantastic. And by the way, before I forget, we have a group of people, and I know this is okay with you, from North Carolina. It's about 60 women that travel all over the country with me. Every time I'm out, we do a rally. We have to do, at least it has to be of significance, so usually rallies. But I think they're up to number 121. They've done 100. They're all beautiful women. Obviously, they're very wealthy. They look so wealthy and beautiful. Look at them over here. But they travel all over the country, and way over 100. And I'm trying to figure out the husband. They're all happily married. They have these wonderful husbands. Hey, one of the husbands is standing right there. He's the smartest one of all. But I just want to thank you. Your support is so incredible. I get out, and it's like a breath of fresh air. I look at these incredible people, and at least here we're having one that's very close, right? You don't have to travel out to California and Texas and all the other places. Well, we very much appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Very special woman. A woman who was actually out campaigning today. She is the hardest worker. I said, Marjorie, this is Marjorie telling me. I said, Marjorie, you don't have to do. She went to a polling sector, and she had the Trump flag, and she's waving it and screaming, vote. I said, Marjorie, it's 4:30. It's just about over for the vote. Please. She said, nope, I'm staying longer. This is the hardest working, wherever you are, the most incredible woman. She's respected by everybody. She is very smart. And I'm just very happy that she's on our side. Right, Eric? I'm very happy that she's on our side, right? So, it's been an incredible period of time. We have a country that is a failing nation, but we're not going to have a failing nation very long. We are not going to allow this to happen. We love our country. We love it dearly. We're going to fight for our country. We're going to fight for our rights. We're not going to let this go on because it is not sustainable by any country. You cannot let, I believe, the number by the time we get him out. And remember the date, November 5th. It's going to be the most important date, perhaps, in the history of our country. The election is on November 5th. So we have Michigan coming next week. We have Super Tuesday. We have them all coming. You know, we've set a record so far in in Iowa, we got the most votes in history times 2, just like this. The biggest margin of them. We then went to New Hampshire. You know, New Hampshire and Iowa, they've been around a long time politically. And we went to New Hampshire. We got the most votes in the history. That's like who has the most home runs, who has the most hits in baseball, or who threw the most touchdowns in football, who got the most points in basketball. It's very simple. We got the most votes in the history of New Hampshire primary. That's a tremendous, and that goes back so many decades, and we beat them. You know, you have John F. Kennedy, you have a lot of good people to beat, and we beat them by not a little bit, by a lot. And then we went Virgin Islands. I want to thank the Virgin Islands because They made a very strong play for the Virgin Islands, and we got 100% of the Virgin Islands. And then, of course, Nevada, as you know, we went to Nevada, we got 99.6% of the vote. And then they had a primary, and this is no candidate. You know, it's called this is at various forms, unknown candidate, but this is no candidate, got 65% of the vote, and they think I was the no candidate because it was a caucus, it wasn't a primary, and you have to know what you're doing. You have to go into the caucus, not the primary, but without going into it, I think we won by 50 points or something like that. So, and then we come here, and what an honor this is. You know, in South Carolina, I won every primary by a record, and we won every election by a record, and people like these two, and like this great governor and your great lieutenant governor, and I have to say, thank you very much, Pam. What a job. Thank you. They make it really easy, and many of them, as I was announcing, it seems like a long time ago, but as I was announcing, before I finished the speech, they said, we're endorsing Trump. Those are friends. Those are great, great friends. And we had some strong competitors. I mean, we had some very strong competitors, but these were real friends. South Carolina, thank you very much. Go home, get rest. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We love you all. God bless you all. God bless you all. Thank you very much. God bless you. We wouldn't be having any of this. In the latest morning console poll, we're at 81% in the Republican primary. Although I must say, we shouldn't be talking. I haven't heard about this woman for the last 5 days since we beat her actually in her home state so badly. In a record, we beat her in a record. Are you from there? Yes. Since we beat her there, and then in Michigan, in the largest primary vote in history, we beat her by 42 points. And I haven't heard about her, so I won't even use. People say, don't even talk about her, don't talk to her. But I have to. When I have to talk, front row Joes, because she's bad news. I know her very well. She's very average. In the new Emerson Hill poll of the general election, we're crushing Joe Biden in every swing state, including a big lead here in the great state of North Carolina. We're killing it. And in Harvard-Harris, we're leading Crooked Joe in a 6-point, that's considered a landslide. And, you know, when I'm leading by 6 points, it's really much more. I hate to say why. People don't want to get involved. Who are you voting for? None of your business. Anybody that says none of your business is voting for Trump, I hate to say. I shouldn't say that. But when they say it's none of your business, that means they're voting for Trump. Well, thank you very much. They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. This is a big one. And they tell me, the pundits and otherwise, that there's never been one like this. There's never been anything so conclusive. This was an amazing night, an amazing day. It's been an incredible period of time in our country's history. It's been sad in so many ways, but I think it's going to be inspiring because we're going to do something that, frankly, nobody's been able to do for a long time. We've watched our country take a great beating over the last 3 years, and nobody thought a thing like this would be possible. We wouldn't have Russia attacking Ukraine. We wouldn't have Israel being attacked. Iran, as you know, was broke. When I was running things, they were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have money for Hezbollah. We had no inflation. Inflation is destroying the middle class. It's destroying everything. Inflation, if you look back over the history, hundreds of years back, inflation is called a country buster. And that's what it's doing to our country. What's happened with inflation has been unbelievable. A lot of people say, a lot of experts have said the stock market's the only thing that's doing well, and that's doing well because our poll numbers are so much higher than Joe Biden's. He's the worst president in the history of our country. There's never been anything like what's happening to our country. Today it was announced that 325,000 people were flown in from parts unknown. Migrants were flown in, airplane, not going through borders, not going through that great Texas barrier that I was with the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, the other day, and we were looking at the job they're doing. But in the meantime, they're pouring into California and they're pouring into Arizona because those governors aren't doing anything. They're doing nothing. But today it was just announced before I came out. It was unbelievable. I said, that must be a mistake. They flew 325,000 migrants, flew them in over the borders into our country. So that really tells you where they're coming from. They want open borders, and open borders are going to destroy our country. We need borders and we need free and fair elections, or we don't have a country. This is an incredible group of people. So many celebrities that I'm not going to introduce any because I'm just going to get myself in trouble if I do that, because I'll leave out most of you. But this is a room chock full of incredible, talented people, like some of the guys standing right in front of me, right? Big futures, big, fat, beautiful futures. Oh, I'd love to be your age. I'd pay you a lot of money to be your age. But we have some tremendously talented people in this room, including tremendously talented political people that have helped me right from the beginning. We had the safest border in the history of our country. We built 571 miles of wall. We had Mexico supply us with 28,000 soldiers because we wanted them, that's why. And they said, we won't do that. I said, yes, you will, you will. And in the end, they did. It was an easy negotiation, but we had the safest border, the best numbers we've ever had, and now we have the worst numbers probably in the history of the world. It's sad to see what's happening to our cities. Our cities are being overrun with migrant crime, and that's Biden migrant crime. But it's a new category of crime, and it's violent, where they'll stand in the middle of a street and have fistfights with police officers, and if they did that in their countries from where they came, they'd be killed instantly. They wouldn't do that. So the world is laughing at us. The world is taking advantage of us. 3 years ago, we were at a level, we were energy independent. We were going to be very shortly energy dominant, and today we're getting oil from Venezuela. Can you believe it? And we're doing numbers on that oil. You know what we're doing? We're refining the oil. We have our refinery for that oil. It's really, I call it tar. It's not oil. It's terrible. We have real stuff. But we're refining it in Houston. So for all of the environmentalists, you ought to look at that, because all of that tar is going right up into the atmosphere. You just ought to take a look. It's the only plant that can do it. We have the only plants that can take tar and make it into oil, and that's what it is. It's a shame. But we were energy independent. We were going to be energy dominant. We were going to be supplying oil to Europe, all over the world. And then a tragic thing happened during the election. It was a tragedy, because you wouldn't have, think of it, all of the problems that you have today, I don't think you would have had any of them. You'd only have success. And that's what's ultimately going to unify this country and unify this party. We have a great Republican Party with tremendous talent. And we want to have unity, and we're going to have unity, and it's going to happen very quickly. And I've been saying lately, success will bring unity to our country, and it happened before. We had the best economy our country's ever had, and people were calling me that I would have said will never happen. It'll never happen. They wanted to get together, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, men, people with diplomas from the best schools in the world, and people that didn't graduate from high school. Every single group was doing better than ever before, and it was a beautiful thing. Our country was coming together. Our country was coming together. And now we have a very divided country. We have a country that a political person uses weaponization against his political opponent. Never happened here. It happens in other countries, but they're third world countries. And in some ways, we're a third world country. We're a third world country at our borders, and we're a third world country at our elections, and we have to stop that. We need a fair and free press. The press has not been fair, nor has it been free, but maybe someday they will be. They're being beaten up pretty badly. People aren't trusting them. They're not believing them. And really, it's a very important factor. The press used to be the policeman. It used to police our country. Now nobody has confidence in them, and we have to get that confidence back. It's so important for the success of our country. So important. So this has been a day that we've been waiting for. I want to thank my family for being here. It's a great family. I have a great family. They've had it very easy since I decided to run for politics. They say, thanks a lot, Dad. We appreciate it. But they're strong, and they're very capable people, and they love the country. They really do love the country, and we appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody, my staff, Susie, Chris, incredible job. Incredible job you're doing. I read an article yesterday where it said this is one of the finest run campaigns that anybody has ever seen. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. It's really a statement. And we have no choice, because November 5th, it's right around the corner, November 5th is going to go down as the single most important day in the history of our country. We're going to take it, and we're going to make it like it should be, respected. Right now, we're not respected. Right now, our country is known as a joke. It's a joke. Other leaders who I speak to, other leaders can't believe what happened to us, because 3 years ago, we were the most respected country anywhere in the world by far. We were doing things that nobody could believe. China was paying us billions and billions of dollars. In 25 years, they paid us nothing, zero, not 10 cents. I was getting billions of dollars, and they were happy about it, as happy as you can be. Of course, maybe there's reasons for things having happened, but they were not so happy with certain things, I guess, based on things that took place. But we were getting along with everybody. We were getting along, and we were respected by everybody. We had no wars. Remember when I had the debate with Hillary Clinton? She said, look at him. Look at that personality. He's going to cause wars. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of wars. And that's what happened. For 20 years, they were fighting ISIS. I defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. I got rid of ISIS 100%. 100% of the ISIS caliphate. And we had no wars, and we stopped wars. We weren't getting along with a lot of countries. All of a sudden, North Korea, which is a serious nuclear power, but North Korea came along. Kim Jong-un, we got along very well. We got along very well with China until COVID. That was a little bit too much, as far as I was concerned. That was too much. Couldn't take that one. But we made a trade deal with China that I don't even talk about. $50 billion a year in product they bought from our farmers, our manufacturers. They used to buy 10. I got 50, and it was great. But COVID, I don't even talk about that, because COVID was such a horrible thing. It started in the Wuhan labs, just as I said, the Wuhan labs. And it came out, I believe, through incompetence. I believe it was incompetence. Some people think it wasn't, but I believe it was. But regardless, it caused $60 trillion worth of damage and death all over the world, all over the world. And we did a fantastic job on that. We never got credit for that. Unbelievable job on that. We came up with things that nobody thought was possible. Don't forget, when it came in, nobody had an idea what it was. They didn't even use the word pandemic. Nobody had an idea. But we did a fantastic job. And we got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for our foreign policy. I think credit like nobody, very few people have gotten. And the press was very honest about it. They give us very high marks on foreign policy, the Abraham Accords, so many different things we did. But we never got the kind of due that we should have for the COVID, or as I call it affectionately, the Chinese virus, the China virus, which is a much more accurate term. And despite that, the stock market, when we turned it over, the stock market was higher than it was prior to COVID coming in. It was an amazing thing. We did an amazing job, and we have so many people that worked on that, so many of the doctors, so many of the scientists that worked with us on that. It was really, really something. But there's never been an administration that had more success in so many different elements. We got the largest tax cuts in history. We have the largest regulation cuts in history. We rebuilt our military. And what happened, we rebuilt our entire military, and beautiful. We had jet fighters that were 53 years old, and we had all brand new jet fighters. And then after this other group of people that didn't know what they were doing, they took over, and we had that horrible surrender in Afghanistan. I call it a surrender. We took the soldiers out first. You know, I dealt with the leaders of the Taliban in Afghanistan. They were the ones that were causing the trouble. The press was very angry because they said, "Why are you calling them?" I said, "Because that's where the problem is." I say oftentimes, they asked Jesse James, "Jesse, why do you rob banks?" He said, "Because that's where the money is." And I said, that's where the problem is with the Taliban. And I spoke to Abdul. He's still the leader. Believe it or not, he's really the leader of Afghanistan, but he's the leader of the Taliban, a rough group. I say, don't ever shoot our soldiers again. Don't ever do it. Very interesting what happened is that, we were having, during the Obama administration, previously, they were shooting a lot of our soldiers. And I let them know, I said, don't ever, ever let that happen. I said in a rather nasty fashion. We don't have to go into it tonight. For 18 months, we lost nobody in Afghanistan. And then we had that horrible, horrible withdrawal where we lost 13 soldiers, 38 horribly wounded, left Americans behind. You know, you have Americans right now still behind. Call them hostages if you like. It was a terrible moment. We left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful equipment behind, jets and tanks and everything you could think of, goggles, night goggles. They didn't used to fight. They're good fighters. They didn't used to fight at night, but now they do because they have goggles. They have better goggles than we have. So I just want to tell you that led to a lot of bad things, and now the worst things are happening. The things that are happening now are unthinkable, and they're unthinkable at the border. We have millions of people invading our country. This is an invasion. This is the worst invasion probably. We've never had anything like it. No country has ever had anything like it. The number today could be 15 million people. And they're coming from rough places and dangerous places. And we had that shut down. We had everything going so beautifully. When Joe Biden goes to the beach, because somebody on his staff thinks he looks very good in a bathing suit, until he can't get his feet out of the sand or lift the chair, which weighs about 9 ounces. Joe Biden, if he would have just left everything alone, he could have gone to the beach. He would have had a tremendous success at the border and elsewhere. So we're going to take back our country. We're going to make sure we are going to do it right. We're going to have the greatest economy ever in the history of our country. We're going to top what we did. We're going to become an energy center of the world. We were ready to become energy dominant, and they stopped that. They stopped that. But we're going to become energy dominant. We're going to pay off debt. We're going to do things that nobody thought was possible. You know, we hadn't done our second phase of the tax cuts. When we did the tax cuts, the Democrats fought us very hard. And now they say, well, I guess that was pretty good because we took in much more revenues after we cut taxes. And then we did all of those regulation cuts, and people were working, and everybody was happy, and we were all proud of our country. But we're going to win this election because we have no choice. If we lose the election, we're not going to have a country left. And we're going to do something. Thank you very much. We love you too. And we love our country. And we can't let this magnificent, some people call it an experiment. I don't call it an experiment. I just say this is a magnificent place, a magnificent country. And it's so sad to see how far it's come and gone. When you look at the depths of where it's gone, we can't let that happen. We're going to straighten it out. We're going to close our borders. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get the inflation down. And we are going to make our country greater than ever before. And we're going to do it quickly. We're going to do it quickly. It's going to go fast. We have to get the criminals out. We have many, many criminals that have entered our country. We have people coming in from such bad places, and we're going to have to get them out. We have murderers that are being deposited into our country. We have drug dealers at the biggest and highest levels that are coming into our country. We have people coming into our country that just shouldn't be here, but many, and I say many, large percentages, they come in through the caravans, they come in many different ways. Now we find out again, they come in through airplanes, we send them in. This is crazy. But they come into our country, we're going to stop them. We're going to close our borders. We're going to have to deport a lot of people, a lot of bad people, because our countries can't live like this. Our cities are choking to death. Our states are dying. And frankly, our country is dying. And we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you very much. It's been a big night. Thank you very much. Thank you.